Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the November 11th, 2025 meeting of the Board of Education for Arlington Heights School District 25. Thank you to all of you that are joining us tonight. Before we begin, I want to share that our meetings are when the school board conducts its business and are open to the public. Because we're an elected governmental body, we can only take action by majority vote in a public meeting like this one. We welcome the public to listen and observe, and we have community input sections on the agenda if you have questions or comments about the business of the board. With that, I call the regular meeting to order. And Ms. O'Brien, could you please call the roll?
Tranter?
Here.
Jogi?
Here.
Scapalato?
Here.
Michael?
Here.
Buchberger? Here. Cerniglia?
Here.
Neerman?
Here.
Thank you, Lana. Please stand if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We reserve the first space on the agenda to recognize notable accomplishments and service of District 25 students and staff. For all of you joining us tonight, we're grateful you're here despite your busy schedules and the chilly weather that we're having right now. So tonight we're going to be honoring the service of 3 different groups of adults and celebrating the accomplishments of our student athletes and their coaches. Today is Veterans Day, and the board wishes to start by recognizing veterans from our District 25 staff. We're grateful for their dedication and service to our country, and now I'll turn it to Dr. K to start the recognition.
Thank you, President Scapalato. It is a pleasure to be here. So as Greg just shared, we have a couple of different groups we want to recognize and thank today. We want to start with our veterans and the veterans that we have as District 25 employees. So I'd like to take a moment to recognize and honor the veterans who serve and work right here in Arlington Heights District 25. Each year, Veterans Day reminds us of the extraordinary courage, commitment, and sacrifice of those who have served our country. Tonight, we are proud to acknowledge the veterans who are part of our District 25 family, individuals who have served our nation in honor, who continue that service through their daily work with our students, our staff, and our community. The Board of Education is proud to recognize the veterans among our District 25 staff who have served our country with dedication and honor. There are 3 of them, and I believe 2 were able to make it out tonight. So at this time, I'd like to acknowledge the 2 that are here and have them come up in just a second. So let's start with Dana Berry, who is a teacher at 2 of our buildings, Thomas and Ivy Hill, a band teacher. Dana, if you wouldn't mind, come on up. That would be great. And Dana, just get comfortable for a little bit. You're going to hang up here. I'd say at ease, but I don't know if I have the authority to say at ease to you. I'll acknowledge the one who is not here tonight. He's unable to be here. Actually, his father just passed away, Brian Morgan. He's one of our BCBAs. That's a board-certified behavior analyst. So, Brian, if you're watching, we are thrilled for your service and hope that we will give you the gifts later this week. But one more employee who has worked with us for a number of years, one of our crossing guards as well, Mr. Dean Schultz. Dean, come on up. Unless Dean is playing a game on me, I don't see him here, which would have been awesome if he was here. So Dana, all the attention is going to you tonight, my friend. This will be great. So for those who are unable to be here, both Brian and Dean, we will make sure they get all the gifts we're going to give. So I'm going to say a couple things, and then I have a couple people that I want to also recognize and come up here as well and take the mic. So we are grateful for your service, both to our nation and to our schools, and for the example you set of leadership, integrity, and commitment. At this time, I'd like to thank you, Dana, Brian, and Dean, to stand with us, so thank you very much. Oh, we do? Oh, that is news to me, and I am so excited because I knew he was here tonight, but I didn't know he was a veteran, so I apologize, but this is good news. If you are a Dryden student, you know this gentleman, Mr. Padaraki. Come on up, my friend. Now, before I go any further, I can sense my elbows getting a lot of pressure. So just give me a moment. Now my hand is feeling it. How can I help? I could use my sign language interpreter. Where is my sign language interpreter? I may need you even more tonight. So you hang with me just for a little bit. The only thing I don't know how to say properly is your last name. Is it Cerrone? She is fantastic. That was a very quiet yes. I promise I won't have you do any signage, but you're just providing me some comfort. And if you need my attention, just squeeze this elbow right here. It works. So we have one more veteran who's also an employee. I am learning all kinds of great things tonight. This is awesome. I believe I was told he's in the front row. How do you sign front row? I don't know either. I told you I wouldn't do it to you, and look at it, I already did it. We're going to have a good night tonight. I don't know if I know how to say the last name properly, but Caesar, if you are here in the front row, we would love to have you join us up here as well. Caesar Maltese, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate you being here. Mr. Padaraki, thank you for being here. And Dana, thank you for being here. I was hopeful I'd have 3. I just didn't know 2 would be surprises. This is great news, so I am thrilled. This is the benefit of you guys coming. We are thrilled. We just want to do some recognitions, and we have gifts for all of you, which is going to be awesome. So I also have 2 other guests that I want to acknowledge. One is Florence Cerrone. Florence, this morning I heard, at Dryden Elementary School, did some signing for your presentation of the national anthem, which I am so excited you said yes to wanting to do it this evening as well. Are you comfortable doing that tonight? That's a yes. All right, good. Is that the official sign for yes? So, all right, I know how to sign. This is great. And I heard at Dryden Elementary School this morning, the student that got to sing the national anthem to all the students was Alice Murray. Alice, if you could join us up here, that'd be great. All right, this is called On the Fly, but thank goodness Dryden students are super smart. I would pause on that, but thanks. I'm glad it's ready. Alice will give you the symbol, and when it's time to go. What I wanted to do was make sure that we had our veterans here and ready. I think of it as if we were at a sporting event. We bring everyone out before we do the song to recognize the national anthem. So I just wanted to make sure you guys were ready to go. You've been recognized, you're honored, you're here. And we have 2 students who, one will sing, one will sign. I see you have the mic on your own, Alice. This is getting better. I thought you'd use this one, but no, fantastic. So as you know, and when we sing the national anthem, we all rise. So would you guys all mind rising? Alice, do you see the gentleman right outside the door? Whenever you're ready, you give him the signal.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let's give one more round of applause to both Alice and Florence. Congratulations. If I could have the two of you stand in front of our veterans for a photograph, I think that would be wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Harris. You guys may be seated. We have gifts for them. Don't leave yet, Alice and Florence. I'm going to see how long I can keep Caesar, Richard, and Dana up here. Do you think they'd stand up here all evening tonight? I think they would, to be honest with you. I won't do that to you now, but we have a couple gifts that we want to give you guys as well. So I'm going to grab the 3 bags closest to you, Greg. If you could bring those over here, I want to kind of go through them so you know what's in your goodie bag. This is one of my favorite things every year to give veterans. Mr. Barry might know what I'm about to do, but Richard and Caesar, you wouldn't know. Gentlemen, do you know what this is? You didn't have these in Vietnam. I'm learning a lot tonight. For those of you who don't know, these are MREs, meals ready to eat. No, I've never had one, but it is what they drop now and give to troops. So I wanted to make sure you had one. You don't have to eat it, but you may if you want. So that was one gift we put into the goodie bag. We also gave you a notepad, personalized for District 25. I'm sure you guys want to take lots of notes. A koozie for a Diet Coke, and a pen so you can do some writing in the notebook. Last but not least, I'm going to have our board president grab all 3 of those wooden pieces as well as I put back this gift together. Thank you, Greg. So I think you can see what's in here. We have flags that are inside of each of these. But what's special about these 3 is that today, on Veterans Day, here at District Office, we flew all 3 of these. Now, I think it's pretty darn sentimental that we flew all 3 of these at District Office, and then we put a little note commemorating that we flew these, and we have gifts for all 3 of you. I hope you enjoy it. We have a trade request. I'm telling you, my elbows are hurting already. And this is only the first recognition. So the request, I may have to go to two girls in the audience here. The request was, could I trade something for the water bottle? The answer is not yet, sir. But we'll find some solutions for you. So at this time, could I give one more round of applause to our three veterans? Yeah, that would be great. Board, if I could have you guys come out from behind the table to stand in the middle. Veterans, would you mind? We'll meet in the middle for a photo. Thank you. All right, Alice and Florence, you are welcome to stay for the other recognitions, but know that you can also leave whenever you'd like as well. We have a couple more recognitions. Next, we're going to go to another group that does a lot of serving, our crossing guards. Once again, thank you, veterans, for your service and your continued commitment. At this time, the Board of Education would like to recognize another very special group of individuals who play a vital role in the safety and well-being of our students every single day, our District 25 crossing guards. These dedicated individuals are out there every season, greeting our students each morning and ensuring they arrive and depart safely. They are often the first and last smiling faces our children see on their way to and from school. Their patience, attentiveness, and care make a tremendous difference in the daily life of our schools and community. And if that doesn't sound great, please know we have open spots to join them. So if you're interested in being a crossing guard, you can too, and spread the word to your neighbors. We are proud tonight to recognize and thank the following crossing guards. But before I start recognizing them, I'm going to force one of our district office employees who is trying to run out of here. Yeah, nice try. Nice try. I felt Lana squeeze me right there. I saw you getting up. We have an employee here at district office that is the transportation specialist. She is the one that does all the communication and the hiring for all of these crossing guards. So if I could welcome with me Laura Camastro. You can be the elbow squeezer if needed. So we just want to say thank you, Laura, for working tirelessly behind the scenes to support this group, keeping communication strong, ensuring schedules run smoothly, and providing the guidance and coordination that allow our crossing guards to do their job so effectively. So what I don't know is how many of our crossing guards joined us tonight. So I'm going to say all their names, or I'll offer Laura if she wants to read off their names, because she owns them like they're her group. So I listed them all here, and if I could have whoever is here come and join me up against the wall, that sounds bad, but join me against the wall, we'd like to recognize the crossing guards that were able to make it here tonight. So Laura, I can tell you want the microphone.
Well, I know who's here. Richard, could you come on up? And Caesar, would you please come on up? Dory Johnson, please come on up. And we have Zenaida Velarde, will you please come up? And Rhonda Kane here? No? No, I wasn't sure. Gail, could you please come up? And then I don't believe any of the others are here tonight. Oh, I'm sorry.
Marvin.
I forgot about the Andy Frame guards that are helping out. If they could all come up. And is there one more? We get them all. We got them all. Okay. The Andy Frame are fairly new to us.
I know Marvin is one.
And Marvin.
You know the
Yeah,
other one?
Marvin. And the other one is new.
Okay, got it. At the risk of just being even more uncomfortable tonight, I know Marvin. Marvin, I met you when we did the Thomas and Belmont Corner. It's great to see you. And the first name? Christine. Hersey. Chrissy. That helps me a ton. That helps me a ton. Chrissy, thanks for being here. How do I pronounce your last name? Barrera, not Barrara. Barrera. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. So if we could recognize our crossing guards that were able to make it out here tonight, that would be great with a standing room of applause. We do have gifts. I'm going to make Greg walk them all over. This is going to be great. I also want to go through the bag for you guys. I feel really bad that I didn't put water bottles in all these. I really upsold the water bottle. So while you guys are doing your duty, serving our community, we wanted to give you a bag you can keep any knickknacks in, whether it's around your shoulder or around your waist. But my favorite gift that I think you may have needed already this week, sorry it's not a ton, but we got 2 body warmers for you and some hand warmers for you. These are my favorite gifts in your bag. I think these beat the water bottles. Thank you guys for doing this no matter what the season, no matter what the weather. We really appreciate your dedication. Yeah, that'd be great. You guys all got a bag, I see. Excellent. Once you get your certificate, can you join us in the middle for a photo? Board, I'm going to ask you guys to exercise a little bit as well and join the photo with us. All right, when you get your certificate, come on over. Laura said that for the crossing guards that were unable to join us this evening, she will go visit them at their job of duty to give them their certificate in their bag. So thank you, Laura, for making sure that they feel honored as well. I see our crossing guards are taking advantage of the early exit option. I love it. Smart move. They have duty really early in the morning. So thank you guys for coming. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you. Are there any other parents in the room that are also veterans that I should recognize? Just checking to see. We wouldn't want any stolen valor, but I do have 2 more MREs that I brought just in case. So if nobody else is, Dana, you're walking away with 3 meals tonight. It may not be a water bottle, but it's 3 MREs. I don't know if that equates. The next group of adults that I want to recognize before we do the students is our Board of Education. So as we close this evening's recognitions of the adults, it is my honor to acknowledge another remarkable group of individuals, those who lead, guide, and serve our entire Arlington Heights School District 25 community. Each November, schools across Illinois celebrate Illinois School Board Members Day, which this year falls on Saturday, November 15th. The statewide recognition honors the commitment and service of local school board members who volunteer their time and expertise to support public education. And I also think there are members in the audience who are equally as proud of the work board members do. You might see their joy in just a moment. Here in District 25, Board of Education members are truly the heart of our district leadership. They dedicate countless hours of governance, policy, and community engagement, always keeping our students at the center of every decision. Imagine what it's like to be on a sports field and seeing your mug thrown up like that. Feels great, doesn't it? They are advocates, they are problem solvers, and in the eyes of our students and staff, they are our superheroes. The leadership is larger than life. Their impact extends far beyond the board table, and I love middle school mentality. And their service ensures that District 25 continues to thrive. Tonight, we are proudly recognizing and thanking Arlington Heights School District 25 Board of Education members, our president, Mr. Greg Scapolato, I really enjoy watching the different shades of red on their faces. This is fantastic. Our Vice President, Dr. Anisha Jogi. Our Board Secretary, Kevin Michael. Our member, Melissa Buchberger. Our member, Brian Cerniglia. I can't wait to put these in my office. This is going to be great. Member Elizabeth Neerman. You're in 2 front rows, Liz. It's great. And member Deb Tranter. There are gift bags in front of you. If I could use Liz's to kind of go through them, that'd be great. I don't have any MREs. I have regular food for you. We do have a t-shirt that none of you guys have yet, but I'm sorry, Melissa, this one still is sleeveless. I know you were hoping for one with sleeves. And then special in your bag that I will keep at a distance, there are some superhero cards that may resemble you, from that fathead to a superhero. You can decide what you want to do with these. There's only one that's been taken from each one of you. Outside of this group, I have one just in case you lose them. But you have all the others, I promise. So I hope you enjoy your superhero icon, your t-shirt, and a note from the cabinet. Thank you for your service. We sincerely appreciate it. Now, I know you want to take those fat heads home with you, but I really have an interest in collecting those before you leave. So coach or coaches, would you mind collecting those? Thank you. Oh man, look at them come to the end. We could do head races. in the audience. This is great. Oh, you're going to put them on display too, even better. We have some clever coaches. So tonight's recognition highlights what makes Arlington Heights District 25 such a special place. Our veterans remind us of the courage and sacrifice it takes to protect and serve our nation. The crossing guards show us that everyday commitment and care and that keep our children safe. And the Board of Education exemplifies the leadership and vision that move our schools forward. Each of these groups serves in a different way, but shall share one purpose, a deep commitment to service, community, and the success of our students. So thank you for allowing us to celebrate those adults. I appreciate it. Now it's time to celebrate some of our student athletes who have been extremely successful. So successful they've been down to state. And I think I saw in the notes we may have a state champion. I don't know if they're here, but I sure hope so. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome up our South Middle School Golf Club coaches, Allison Buck and Olivia Leby. If you guys are here, I see you coming up. Allison and Olivia, you can use this, yes? That would be wonderful.
Okay.
You guys want to take it from here?
Sure. Great. Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much. So we're the golf coaches for South Middle School, and first we want to say thank you, big thank you to the parents. This would have not been possible without you and your support and everything that you did for us, so thank you so, so much. Yes, thank you, parents. Of course, we want to thank the board as well. Thank you for making this possible. And the admin that has been supporting us as well. Thank you for all the help that you provided us. And to our fellow coaches, Olivia and Phil, who is not here today. So thank you to everyone that helped make this possible, because we have an awesome group of boys. So thank you, athletes, for representing South wonderfully at the sectional and state tournament. So lots of support went into this club, and just I want to thank everyone that was involved.
Specifically, we want to recognize our sectional team this year. It's the first time in South's history that our boys team won sectionals. So round of applause for them. And then down at state, they placed 7th with a score of 370. So they did amazing. So. Yeah. All the claps. Two individual accomplishments that we would like to recognize is at sectionals, Matt Miller finished 3rd, and Jack Freudenberger finished 10th. So that was good. And then here's our entire sectional team. It was Eddie Culbertson, Matt Miller, Mac Walentowski, Jack Freudenberger, Will Gore, and Luke Walentowski. And then our state team consisted of Matt, Jack, Will, and Luke.
So if you boys want to come up, Matt, Jack, Will, and Luke, if you can join us up here. Yep, stand. Yes, yes. Good job.
And our state team is 7th and 6th graders, so we're really hoping next year to make another trip down to state as a golf team. If I can make a selfish plug right now. Right now we are a club at South. Would love to be a team next year. So I know that is done with negotiations, and we are in the process of doing that. So really, parent support, admin support. We would love to be a team next year. That would really mean a lot to us. So you got this.
Boys, this night's just getting better. I am just turning all shades of red tonight. This is awesome. Congratulations. I'd love to play around with you guys to see how really poor I am at golf. But without further ado, we'd like to just take a photo with you guys and the coaches, and then the board will also join for a photo if you guys wouldn't mind getting in the middle. And these bags are really, really cool, aren't they? They beat any water bottle. Yeah. Coming up for a photo. Congratulations. All right, next up, we will stay with South Middle School, but we're going to change sports. We're going to go to cross country. We have a number of cross country athletes that this community somehow continues to thrive in the running, and I am totally impressed every year that it continues. So if I could welcome up the South Middle School cross country coaches to get started. Are you flying solo tonight? Oh, there's Tyler. All right, good. So we have Tyler and Tim Evans. The show is yours.
Thank you. All right. Well, we would like to also start off with some thank yous. So thank you, parents, for everything that you do. You are not only a help to us at meets, but also driving kids to practices, from practices to meets. So thank you to parents. Round of applause. Thank you to the board, and thank you to our administration for all the support that you give us. Thank you to my fellow coaches, Tim Evans and Kim Radzak, who is not here tonight. Another thank you to the Thomas coaches for your continued support as well. And then a last thank you for our athletes. Okay, we have truly wonderful athletes. You know, each year I feel like we can't have a better team that, you know, they can't get closer. And each year they surprise me. This year especially, their teamwork was amazing. Their sportsmanship, their work ethic truly blew me away. So thank you for making this a wonderful season, athletes. Then we want to bring kind of some special congratulations to some of the athletes before we read off everyone else. So a special congrats to Sam Pignato for being South's only 7th grade individual state qualifier in the history of the school. So congratulations to Sam. And then congratulations to Kaylee Leone on her 19th all-state finish with a time of 12:11. And Bella Caldera on her 11th place state finish with a time of 12:03. And that duo at sectionals placed 6th and 7th at sectionals. Okay, so congratulations. The girls' team as a whole at state also placed 7th overall, which is tied for the 3rd highest finish by a girls' team in South's history. So congratulations, girls. All right, now we're going to read off all of the athletes.
All right, so the girls' team we sent down this year, starting with Aubrey Emilio, Bella Caldera, Erin Welsh, Gianna DeGia, Hadley DeJonquiere, Kaylee Leone, Loretta Cox, Lydia Leffelman, Maria Bolweg, and Sienna Trapani. Great job this season, girls. We're super, super proud of you. Congratulations.
And I appreciate the patience of the Thomas Middle School cross-country team. I think this is our last team we are going to recognize this evening, so if I could welcome up the coaches for Thomas Middle School's cross-country team. Come on up. Looks like we have Sarah Dunn, Becky Fano, Joe Kim, and Todd Slawinski. Thanks for coming and enjoy celebrating your students.
I like it. Okay, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, we too would like to thank several folks. Our parents are, without their support throughout the entire season, we simply could not be as successful as we are as a team. So parents, we are so grateful for your steadfast commitment to your kids and for supporting our program throughout the year, our admin, the board. We are very grateful to be a team, and we're super grateful that we have had so many great opportunities to compete in so many different ways throughout the season. It really, truly is what makes our team successful and as strong as it is. So we are here tonight. It is an honor and a pleasure to recognize our state qualifying athletes. So our boys cross country team, we're going to talk about them first. Okay, so we were able to honor the kids at school, and it was a lot of fun. You know, these kids, I feel like it's important to mention that you know, this season starts out in early August with very, very early morning practices, like 6:30 in the morning, like a few weeks before summer's actually over. So I always think that's important to mention. I also think it's important to mention that you guys know that the kids that we're recognizing tonight, they lead a team that is 180 student athletes strong. We have an enormous cross-country program, and it's kind of an awesome problem to have. But these kids have been leaders from the very beginning, and they have led in a variety of ways. You know, they lead with raw talent, they lead with hard work. We've got some really fun, charismatic leaders on this team who remind us that even though running isn't always fun, there's always room for fun. So we're really grateful for these kids. The boys crushed it at sectionals. I think it was a 99-point difference between first and second place. Absolutely crushed it. And then they went on as a team and finished 5th in the state of Illinois. Do you have the sticker? Ryan Pham led this group. Ryan, why don't you come on up here? So Ryan finished 4th at the sectionals, 18th at state, which earned all state honors, which we are so, so proud of him for doing so. Was it, what was your time? This kid ran 2 miles in 11 minutes and 12 seconds. It's crazy. So congrats, Ryan. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Todd to talk about the girls.
All right, so we have 2 girls to recognize tonight, and I'm just going to talk very briefly about each of them. So the first one is Megan Fritchie. So if you want to come up here, Megan. So at the sectional meet, Megan's grandpa had a PR sign that he had previously used for Megan's mom, and unfortunately at the sectional meet, he wasn't able to use the PR sign. Okay, so it was a little bit of a disappointment, but he brought the PR sign down to the state meet, and luckily, Megan had a PR and finished 25th in state, earning her all-state honors. So Megan's had a great 3 years here at cross country at Thomas, and we're really proud of you, Megan. All right, so next up is Maddie Surer, if she could come up. So in our first race of the year, which was early in the season, Madeline finished 2nd place, okay? And after that, the next 10 races, Madeline finished in 1st. At our sectional meet, her 11th race, she finished in 1st. And then at her 12th race, the state meet, Madeline also finished 1st with a time of 11:39. At the time of 11:39. So completing a back-to-back state champion at Thomas, your 4A girls state champion, Madeline Surer. Yeah, we can have the other kids come up too. Oh, two ahead. All right, so Austin Ryder, Barrett Irvin, Brandon Cole, Caleb Nelson, Camden Erickson, Ewan Smith, Joel Parisi, Nathan Erickson, Patrick Carney, Patrick Rieger, and Ryan Pham. That's your boys team, 5th place in state. So congratulations. We do have a quick video, just recap of the season. Stand at ease. Okay, here we go.
All the hurt, all the lies, all the tears.
We're going to start calling this the Thomas 30 for 30 in the future. Congratulations to all of you. We're going to do one large photo with the Board of Education right here where you've seen the other ones. So no need to run. You can walk at my pace. I'll meet you over there. Let's do one last photo, coaches and athletes. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Well, we're going to take a step down a little bit from the celebrations now. We're going to continue on with our meeting, and I think I've got the right page here. So we are next moving to the community input section of the agenda. If a member of the public wishes to address any item on tonight's agenda, we ask that you please complete one of the blue forms provided on the table by the door and hand the card to Lana O'Brien. We ask that you please note on the card if you wish to speak now at the first community input opportunity, or if you wish to speak later, should we have a second opportunity this evening. We don't have any blue slips, so we're going to continue on into the business and finance section of the agenda. Tonight we have an information item on the tentative tax levy. So, Stacy, when you're ready, please.
Thank you. The presentation you're about to see is available in the board packet, along with copies of the certificate of the levy, the cash balances by fund, the Public Act 1030394 information that I'll discuss in this presentation, as well as the proposed levy and the information that will go in the public notice. The tax levy represents our largest revenue source, and it funds the majority of the education services we provide students in District 25. It supports low class sizes, our curriculum, extracurricular activities, our professional development, custodial maintenance services, technology, and all of the staff who provide services for students. As I referenced the Public Act 1030394, it was effective with the 24-25 school year, so last year, and it requires that we calculate the annual average expenditures in our operations funds, which are considered education, transportation, and the building fund, or the operations and maintenance fund, for the previous 3 years using the amounts reported in the district's most recently audited financial reports. If that combined cash reserve balance exceeds 2.5 times our average expenditures, then we would have to adopt and file with the State Board of Ed a written funds reserve reduction plan to reduce our fund balance within 3 years. You can see that we are just under 60%. So we are clearly under the 2.5 times level that requires any additional action. As a reminder, we do aim for a fund balance target between 40 and 60%, but across all funds. This requirement is only looking at 3 specific funds. And it is required to be this information is required to be presented as part of the tax levy presentation. As a reminder, what I'll be proposing tonight and ask the board to vote on next month is the tax levy. We can ask for whatever increase we want when it comes to the levy. It's the tax extension that is actually billed to taxpayers and is limited by the tax cap formula. Again, the district levies a dollar amount, not a percentage. The dollar amount is what is capped. So when you take that dollar amount, when it gets divided by the total district-wide equalized assessed value, which is the market value of property times the assessment rates, then our rate will adjust accordingly to ensure we don't get more than that fixed dollar amount that is capped. As this chart shows, the third column, that is new growth. Our new growth over the last 10 years has not been greater than 1%. The green highlighted circles show that in the year of a triennial reassessment, which 2025, this tax levy is a triennial reassessment, we do historically see an increase, a large increase in the existing property values throughout the district boundaries. Then if you look at the second to last column, that is the CPI, and that 10-year average CPI is currently about 2.68%. I always like to recap the tax levy we just came off of. So for 2024, the CPI was 3.4%, and our actual new growth was 0.2%. So our total tax levy would have increased by 3.9% in the limited funds. As you can see, circled the red percent increase. If you recall, for 2023, we abated $1.9 million. So when you look at the total increase between the tax bills that are probably coming out this week, so the $24 we're collecting, the total increase actually comes out to be 5.8%. It's because of that bond levy piece was reduced in 23, but not reduced in 24. So that impact seems like it's more than that 3% we're limited to. But it's because the prior year was artificially reduced, if that makes sense. In terms of that abatement, just to remind the board, beginning in 2021, there is a recapture levy that the Cook County Treasurer's Office automatically adds the amount to the levy the board approves in the amount of certified refunds that were issued during that calendar year. So to date, the board has been abating that recaptured levy. We don't know the amount yet for 2025. It's supposed to be released by November 15th. So they have till Friday, but I don't know that we'll get it by then. But we should certainly have that amount before the December. And we can issue that abatement anywhere up till March, and it will still be effective for this year's tax levy. On top of that, again, in 2023, we did abate that additional $1.9 million. So considering that, that's just under $3.8 million the board has abated over the last 3 years. And then just a refresher that whatever percent we increase doesn't automatically mean that every taxpayer in the district is going to see that increase, because it's not only what we levy that affects homeowners, but it's what happens to their property value versus what happens to total property value throughout the district. So this slide kind of shows you that if an individual taxpayer has a 10% increase in their property value and nobody else does, they're going to pick up a larger share of the dollar amount that we levy. So again, if our levy increases in accordance with CPI, doesn't mean that's going to be the exact amount that affects every single individual taxpayer. That being said, in terms of 2025, the formula for the tax levy is increasing by the lesser of CPI or 5%. So the CPI for the 2025 levy is 2.9%. In addition to that, we are always wanting to capture any new growth in the district. As I mentioned earlier, we have been under 1%. We always levy for more than that. But I anticipate we'll probably be around 0.6%. That's what we've been the last few years, which would result then in a total estimated maximum levy of $89.6 million. So based on that and wanting to make sure that we capture all of that, again, 89.6, I am proposing a levy of $90.3 million. That is a 4.4% increase in the limited funds, and then and the 4.4% is the 2.9% CPI plus 1.5 new growth. Again, if we only see 0.6 new growth, that's all we're going to get. If we see 0 new growth, we get 0. But we want to make sure that assuming 89.6 will be the levy that would be our max. We want to capture all of it. We're going to levy slightly more than that. Overall, with the impact of the bond and interest, that is set at the time we sell the bonds. There's a slight decrease in that over last year, so overall, the proposed levy would be a 3.8% increase over 2024. This chart shows the history of our tax extensions. The yellow line is always what we levy. Again, we always levy more. CPI is the red line, so that's the minimum increase we'll get if we have new growth, and the blue line represents our actual extension. So again, the yellow is always higher because we always ask for more, but the blue is what we actually get, which is restricted by the formula. This is another way to see that. Again, we levied the blue amount, we actually got the red amount. And those larger amounts are the years we sold the bonds and the bond levy came on. This chart shows where I anticipate our actual extension will fall out based on that 0.6% new growth, and that's that total of that 89.6 million, which would be closer to a 3% total increase. Again, outside of anything happening to any individual taxpayer's individual property value. That being said, as I mentioned earlier, during a triennial reassessment, we do see larger increases in property values. So I did project a 10% increase in EAV, which really that's done through that multiplier formula up there. So an average $450,000 house in the district, I would anticipate, even with a 10% increase in EAV, would be a $145 increase in property taxes for the 2025 bill. That being said, we would anticipate, we are not levying in excess of 5%, so we are not subject to truth in taxation or required to have a public hearing. Historically, regardless of whether we levy the 5%, we always do have the public hearing part of that meeting to allow the opportunity for public comment and then a vote on the levy at that time. In between then, we will post the notice in the newspaper for the public hearing, and we will post all of this information on our website, and hopefully we'll get that amount of those refunds to know what we'd be considering abating for this year. Otherwise, that can come, like I said, as late as March, and that would still affect this year's extension.
Thank you, Stacy. Any questions from the board? Stacy, I'm going to ask a question in case and I apologize if I just missed it. Could you remind the board, you talked about we levy at a certain amount in order to capture, but could you remind us of the inverse, like if we weren't to capture everything that's possible, you know, what happens then? Right,
so if you don't, because the tax levy is cumulative year after year, and the increase is always based on the most recent year. So if you don't capture that full amount for 2025 and it's a reduced amount, then that reduced amount is what carries into the future, so you lose that increase indefinitely. So in any case, which is what we did in 2023, when we felt comfortable financially doing so, we levied the full amount and then we abated a piece of it, because then you don't lose that cumulative effect of that full amount year after year.
And that's, not to get too far afield here, but isn't that different for different taxing bodies? Like that applies to schools or school
right,
districts.
So there are different rules for home rule, which is usually your municipality. They're not subject to the tax cap where they're only eligible to increase by a certain amount over the prior year. They can issue 0 for 3 years, and then I can't speak exactly to the law for them, but they're not subject to a limit, so they can do a significant increase one year and then do a lower amount in earlier years.
All right, thank you, Stacy. All right, if it's okay with the board, we'll continue on. The next item is an action item. This is for a resolution to appoint an IMRF authorized agent. Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. President,
Yes, Kevin.
I recommend that the Board of Education adopt the resolution appointing an authorized agent with respect to the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. Oh, am I on the wrong one there? Sorry.
No,
That's
Okay.
right.
Having some issue with the new platform. Sometimes when I click on one action item, it takes me to the next one. So wanted to make sure I was in the right place. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And a second, please.
A second.
Thank you, Anisha. Stacy, if you could walk us through this.
Yes, so when we hired our new payroll person, when our former person left, who was the IMRF authorized agent, that was actually over a year ago at this point. And we have been operating, and she has been reporting IMRF since that time with no issue. It's an online system. We thought we updated it in the system. Very recently, when she signed some documents that were submitted through IMRF, we got a letter saying you're not the authorized agent. So in order to clean that up, now that we're aware of it, we're required to have the resolution approved by the board. So this is simply just having the district person in charge of payroll officially established as the authorized agent to get that set up with IMRF.
Thank you, Stacy. Any questions? All right, seeing none, Lana, when you're ready, if you could please call the vote.
Jogi? Yes. Scapalato?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Buchberger?
Yes.
Cerniglia?
Yes.
Neerman?
Yes.
Tranter?
Yes.
Thank you, Lana, and the motion carries 7-0. The next item was set to be the workers' compensation renewal, but that's going to be tabled for this month. It'll return at a later time. So we'll continue on to an information item regarding the late Cook County property taxes. Stacy.
So as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, we have been informed that tax bills are being printed for the second installment in Cook County and will be going out, I believe, by the end of this week and due in mid-December, which is good news. But the board may also recall that when we talk about fund balance, we talk about 40 to 60% for this very reason, because December is halfway through our fiscal year, and we measure our fund balance as of June 30th. So whatever we have in the bank as of June 30th, 84% of our revenue is the tax levy, and we're not seeing any of it now till December. So we're paying bills out of what's sitting in the bank for almost half a year. Prior to getting this information literally last week, we had already been working with the treasurer's office through District 214 and all of the member districts, because we were all going to be running out of cash if taxes don't start coming in. And we had talked about what our options are, whether we were going to issue what's called tax anticipation warrants, which is selling debt, which you have a cost to sell the debt for the agents who sell it and put it out to bid and everything. And then you're paying interest on the debt in order just to pay our bills, salary and vendor costs. Or the other option was looking at investments that we have our cash invested in and selling that off early to the point where we could actually be breaking investments if it was delayed as far as end of January, and actually incur penalties for breaking those investments. But strategically, we were going to look at investments that we'd lose future earnings on, but wouldn't lose any principal on. So that, again, is the impact of our major revenue source not coming in to our funds. We're at a point, had the bills gone out in September and been due, we'd be earning interest 3.5% or 4% on those dollars in the bank for the last 3 months. So that's a loss of interest income to us. Plus, we were almost to a point where we're going to start incurring a cost to pay our bills because our revenues aren't coming in. So it's just information as a reminder to the, to the board, just in terms of the impact of that on the district, and what we may have been faced with, assuming that as of a week ago, we fully anticipated that we were all going to be bringing resolutions to sell tax anticipation warrants to our December board meeting, because there's also an amount of time that has to go by before you can actually sell them and get that money in, if we weren't made aware about when the tax bills would be due, and we may not have seen any money till end of January. At this point, as I said, we believe the due date will be December 15th, and at a minimum, we understand typically people who escrow their taxes as part of like a mortgage, those funds typically are immediately released, so there should be some funds coming in the near future for the property tax side.
Thank you, Stacy. Any questions from the board? So Stacy, I just have two. The first is, as you think back historically, this would be, we're at the outer bounds of how far we'd like to see it, right? But what would be like typical? Right, it's never going to be zero. We hope it never, like, that we, so is it 20%? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, we got 20% into the year, 30%?
So typically we start seeing tax revenues in the month of September. The state would say 25% is a minimum appropriate fund balance level that, so that's a quarter of the year, that's 3 months. So if you start, that would be July, August, September. Knowing there was a period of time where Cook County was late every year, there was one other time, a number of years ago, where bills, I think it was 2022, bills weren't due till, again, December. So then that, starts to become a concern for districts, especially. Not only are you looking to cover 4, 5, 6 months of bills, but for districts that have debt, which most do, those bond payments are typically due December 1st, and that's a larger chunk of funds that's atypical for any individual month. So typically you start seeing large dollar amounts coming in September and October for taxes. Now our understanding is, with the delay in these bills, it is likely that we also usually see tax dollars come in late February and all of March. Now our understanding is those bills will probably be pushed back a month as well. So again, just additional opportunities to invest money that we don't have and gain some additional interest income, especially when we've suffered low rates for so long and we had finally had a couple of years of good investments. But I personally would continue to recommend to the board that 40 would be a minimum. And again, I was at 60, was getting much more comfortable with 40 because Cook County had gotten so consistent. Now our understanding is this was due to a software issue because they've implemented new software. It wasn't due. The last time it was due to delays in refunds and the Board of Review settling everything out. So outside of the software issue, it does feel like the county has gotten much more aligned with the true schedule that's supposed to be in place. So I still feel 40 to 60% is a fair fund balance level.
Okay. I think you went ahead and answered the second question I was going to ask. Maybe a bit of speculation on why the change in timing, but it seems that there have been reasons. So, because I think that's of interest to our board members, especially as we talk to our legislators, if it was just bureaucratic rather than software. So thank you for clarifying that. All right. Well, thank you, Stacy, and we'll continue on.
I was just going to make a comment.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Mr. President. No, I was going to say, Stacy, thanks so much for sharing this with us so that we can advocate with our legislators and with Cook County Commissioner Kevin Morrison as well. So thanks for kind of bringing this to us.
All right. Well, we'll continue on. We are now at the board communications portion of the agenda, and the first part is the board member updates. So I'll look to my colleagues if there's any news to share from the last month or since our last meeting.
Mr. President?
Yeah, Deb.
Just a couple of things really quick. It has been a joyful month, and I feel like time is just flying by. But on Halloween itself, Dr. K and Melissa and I had just this wonderful opportunity to visit Patton Elementary School in the morning, and grateful for the administration for taking the time to tour us through the building, discuss the staff and the curriculum, and just school improvement, construction, showing us everything that we could possibly need to know. It was very educational, but also very joyful as the kids were just waiting for the afternoon to come to celebrate the holiday. And then we visited Olive in the afternoon for the Halloween parade and the Halloween celebrations. It just continues to remind me how grateful we are as a board, as a community, for the huge amount of volunteers that participate in each and every one of the buildings. Every classroom had 4 to 5 volunteers running the parties and just making sure the kids were joyful and excited and having these wonderful games to play and things to do and friendships to make. The holidays could not be the same without these volunteers within the buildings and the classrooms. So the PTA, the classroom teachers, the classroom volunteers, hands off to them, hats off. Also, I had an opportunity to go to the first ever Sunrise Lake Harvest Fest with NSSEO. I missed Dr. K. We kind of passed each other that day. But I've been there a few times before as a 5th grade field trip, never before as the Harvest Festival, and it really provided an opportunity to learn more about everything they have to offer and all the education. It really is just a delightful location. It's beautiful in the fall. There were people doing the fall walk, and they were cooking over an open fire, corn on the cob and hot dogs, and people were out on the water in the paddle boats and fishing. It just is a delightful outdoor space, which is so authentic and original to the area. So I'm grateful that several of our schools participate in giving the students an opportunity to spend a day there, to engage intellectually, physically, emotionally, socially. My only disappointment in the Harvest Fest is the chickens were not out. My favorite is holding the little therapy chickens, but they were taking a little fall break.
Thank you, Deb.
Mr. President, if I
Yes,
may, just
Melissa.
piggyback off what Deb said about Halloween. I just want to give a big shout out to all our classroom teachers and our school staff for making Halloween so special for our kids. Watching them in the parades was wonderful, and I know how much extra our teachers do to make that day special. For example, my son's microphone broke, and his teacher crafted a microphone for him at the last minute. They're always doing so much extra, so thank you so much. Also, I wanted to give a huge thank you to the staff of Windsor and our Windsor PTA today, who threw a wonderful celebration, as they do every year, for Veterans Day and for all our veterans. Again, it was very special, as it always is, and it's a wonderful thing to see. So thank you so much. Big shout out to Vince Scaletta, our PTA volunteer, who organizes that every year. It was wonderful again. And happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans.
Thank you, Melissa. Anisha?
No, go.
No, go ahead.
Mr. President, that's so awesome. I just want to echo Deb and Melissa. It was so great that you guys were at the Halloween parade in the classrooms. This is the first year I felt like, oh my gosh, I didn't have a trick-or-treater, because now I have a middle schooler, so I wasn't at a school parade again this year. So it was great to see the parades happening in the schools and through Adam's social media and so forth. And as far as I wanted to comment, as far as the NSSEO location, we've said a couple of years for our board self-evaluation, because NSSEO has always offered us that location, so maybe we can talk about maybe that being our location for our next board self-eval. But how long, I'm not sure how far it is.
Half an hour.
Okay, not so far. So maybe Mr. President will put that in your lap as we're all making recommendations and suggestions on the fly here today. It was also on October 31st, a huge shout out and thanks to Arlington Heights Park District for organizing the Trunk or Treat event. It was really cool to go, and thank you to all the families who visited our District 25 table. And I have to say, folks, I am so impressed with the costume creativity of my board colleagues. Really, truly, they should get a prize for that. So very cool. So anytime I need a costume, I'm going over to my board colleagues for advice on it. And then last week, I got to see some of our board members, and I saw Melissa there as well. I may have missed some of you at the Olive Multicultural Night. So hats off to Olive for organizing this multicultural night. There were kids and families, and super excited to be there. And I was excited to travel from Poland to India to Japan, and traveled around the globe all in half an hour right here in Arlington Heights. So it was really good. So huge kudos to Olive for doing that. All these nights take a lot, and seeing our principals who are there kind of shutting down the schools, and our teachers in the classrooms way past work hours, to make this night special and have a sense of belonging and inclusion for everybody was very special to see. On a different note, I'm on the Arlington Heights Memorial Library Foundation Board, and the advisory board has the scholarship committee, which I serve on. And our recent meeting, we discussed ways to get the word out about scholarship opportunities. So I'd like to inform area students, including former District 25 students who are pursuing the trades, to look out for an opportunity to apply to these scholarships. So lots of good things happening, so look out for that. And the Arlington Heights Memorial Library Foundation has a very active social media and web page. So it's great to have all these partners in our community supporting our students and doing great things for our community. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, thank you, Anisha. Any others? Okay, we'll continue on. We're at the legislative report. Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, for those who might not get regular EdRed emails, they are putting out a request for survey feedback from superintendents, from board members, regarding two topics, one being transportation costs for your district and the other being challenges based on changes in federal funding. So I have links to those surveys. If anybody would like access to those, please reach out and let me know, and I'll share them with you. And they're seeking responses to both of those by December 19th. The most recent monthly members meeting took place last week, Thursday, November 6th. It was held virtually, although I was not able to attend. Thankfully, they did record that session, so I did have an opportunity to view it after the fact. A lot of what was shared in the meeting was based around legislation that I already shared about at our last meeting, so I am going to gloss over some of that. But if there was anybody who was at the meeting or watched the video, if there's anything I skip over, please feel free to chime in. There were several excellent guest speakers at the meeting. The first was Dr. Jean Barbanente. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She's the superintendent of DuPage High School, District 88. She was speaking on the topic of multilingual programming in Illinois schools. Their district has over 50 languages spoken by a very diverse student population. She serves on an advisory council for bilingual education in Cook County, and she advocates for policy on multilingual learning. She shared that they are forming an EL consortium with the goals of participating districts getting full analyses of the EL growth by program model within their district and within the state. And the district data would be included anonymously in a statewide database to study how effective different Illinois EL programs are performing. So for ECRA districts, there's no cost to participate. So they wanted me to share that information. The next guest speaker was State Senator Mary Edley Allen from Illinois District 31. She had a few updates on the veto session. As I shared at the last meeting, a lot of legislation was passed during the veto session. One particular item that Senator Edley Allen shared about was the passed by both houses, or by both the House and the Senate, but not yet signed by the governor, at least as of last week, but will be effective immediately once signed, is the safe zones in hospitals, courthouses, public higher education facilities, daycare centers, and then that relates to a lot of the communication that Dr. K has recently been sharing with families, recently and over the course of the past several months about, what law enforcement personnel are and are not allowed to request from schools and from districts about students. The final guest speaker, Ruchi Verma, and again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing her name, from Franzik, and she is a former attorney from Chicago Public School District, and she was sharing legislative updates. So the first one that she shared applies to the Open Meetings Act and to the Freedom of Information Act. I already shared the FOIA piece last time, but as far as open meetings, the most significant change as it applies to school boards is that when boards are engaging in self-evaluations, we can request to have representatives from statewide or regional associations join those sessions. The next item, let's see, a couple of these I'm going to skip because I've already talked about them. Public Act 104-0391 relates to school fees and fines. It states that districts cannot penalize students for unpaid balances. Any money that's owed by parents for school purposes can't be used to exclude students from extracurricular activities or withhold transcripts, diplomas, graduation privileges, things like that. And then Bridget Peach shared her director's update. She spoke at length about the Cook County property tax situation and them being delayed. And she did share that they are exploring long-term legislative solutions to this concern, since it does seem to happen year after year. She said, I think she said 3 of the past 4 years there have been delays. So they're trying to find ways that they can advocate for that in the future. And then the next member meeting will be on December 5th. This one will be both in person and virtual. It will be at 1:30 p.m. and hosted by Maine District 207. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. We'll go on to the IASB and COSPA report. Anisha, this is a special time of year, right? For IASB.
It is, Mr. President. Thank you, Greg. First of all, before I move on, I want to say thank you, Kevin, because I was at that virtual meeting, and I appreciate your summary so much because a lot gets covered and you synthesize it so well, so it's kind of hitting home a little bit more. So great speakers, and I'm always impressed with EdRed because they're a small and mighty team who gets a lot done. So thanks, Kevin, for helping me comprehend everything that they shared at that meeting. I love it because it's it is virtual and it's an hour, 6 to 7, so it's kind of doable. So I like this virtual format in the evenings that they have now, which I think is new, I feel like. Yeah. As far as IASB, I want to start with a big thank you to Lana for all the work that she does for helping us prepare for the State School Board Conference. I know we say thank you all the time, but we can't say thank you enough because a lot of work gets done. And on top of everything that Lana has to do, then she's kind of tying us loose ends up for us. So truly thank you, Lana, for continuing to help us strengthen our commitment to high governance as a board that learns together and leads together. So November is the month of State School Board Conference. We're getting ready, and an update for all of you, the board, about our D25 Share the Success panel for State School Board Conference. You know, we've been meeting every week. We will make you proud. We've been working really hard. So as we button up our presentation, so the past couple of years we were kind of tweaking our presentation on the strategic plan, and we had like content to work with, and now we're doing a whole new topic, governance, greatness, building trust, shaping culture, which is a great topic, but it does take more work because it's a whole new set of slides. So truly, this is our 5th time being invited to present, and each time I'm so grateful to our team because it takes all of us for all the hard work that goes into the presentation, from our board members sharing their candid feedback, you know, we put a pretty long survey together. When I was filling it out myself, and I was like, oh my God, this is kind of long. But you took a lot of time. We have really valuable data that we will be sharing with you. And then you'll see it at the presentation as well, because we're using your quotes in the presentation so that we're not just up there patting our back. Kevin and I be like, yeah, we have a great board. It's actually coming from your words. So truly thank you to all board members, and a huge shout out to Adam Harris for helping our slides look stellar with all the branding, because we give Adam kind of a hodgepodgey looking slide that he then puts his magic to and makes us look really good. And to the enormous amount of planning time that Brian and Kevin are putting in to make sure our presentation truly helps other boards across the state of Illinois walk away with high-performing board practices that we've really worked hard on, and I'm so proud of all the work that we've done here in District 25, and I know we are going to crush it at our presentation on Saturday in the morning, I believe. I will be there. Yeah. We'll be a lot more hours are going to go in, and thank you, Kevin and Brian, for being patient with me as we're like kind of making this all like perfect. An update. I was reading the letters, and one came through from Kimberly Small, our executive director for IASB, to notify us about a member-driven strategic plan, and she'd like our input by November 30th. So I'm not sure, so maybe you all got this letter, but we'll make sure it's in front of you. I'll share it with Dr. K, so he'll put it in our weekly kind of reminders to us. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Anisha. And I just wanted to check that I imagine we'll continue our practice after Triple I of sharing out.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so we'll look forward to learning what everyone else learned when we went to the conference.
Yeah, and you'll have the whole presentation and everything that when we divide and conquer and learn so much, and we're excited our new board members will be there this time too.
Yeah,
so thank you.
Great. Thank you, Anisha. All right, we'll move on to NSSEO. Liz?
Thank you, Mr. President. Later tonight in our meeting, we'll be talking about the articles and voting, so I'm not going to talk about that. But a little recap from Harvest Fest. At the beginning of our meeting, a parent/staff member stood up to congratulate the staff and Sunrise Lake, all this stuff, and she said that for her child, the highlight of the event was learning to fish because she had never fished before. And she said this wonderful man was helping with fishing and teaching, and he was amazing. And guess what? It was Dr. K. So thank you very much for being the fisherman, and you have to come every year now. So you're signed up. Mark your calendars because January 31st will be Winterfest, and I will request the chickens. I can do that for you. Last thing, at the meeting we were talking specifically about January 5th. There's an Institute Day that our staff will be able to attend. They're planning for 21 national and local speakers. There'll be 1,900 registrations, all sorts of topics and themes. We have an administrative rep that's helping to share ideas, best practices, all sorts of things to make the day special for our staff and very meaningful. So I'll probably know more about that in December to report back. That's what I've got for now.
Great. Thank you, Liz. We are going to continue on. We're now going to the communications from district partners. And so we'll start out. I know we have a report from the PTA.
Yes, if you don't mind, I'll read on behalf of Erin Lekomsky. She wrote and said, as you know, the National PTA works on behalf of its membership on both the state and national levels. Recently, the AHC PTAs joined with nearly 1,000 other units and signed a national letter of support urging continued food assistance, SNAP benefits, during the federal government shutdown. On a local level, units are working to provide assistance with the help of their school community and administrations. For example, Windsor is spearheading a gift card drive. Westgate is collecting donations, both food and monetary, for the Wheeling Township Food Pantry. Ivy Hill is focusing on collecting for the week of Thanksgiving when students will not have access to school-provided meals. Other units are promoting a food drive through our partnership with the Village of Arlington Heights Health and Human Services Department. Local District 25 PTA units are ready to assist and make sure our students have what they need. all while maintaining their full programming calendars. The council has recently established a new committee focused on helping students build connections across elementary schools before transitioning to middle school. Separate events for each middle school will give fifth graders a chance to meet new friends, ease social transitions, and enter middle school with confidence and familiarity. These events aim to create a positive community-based bridge between our elementary schools and the middle school experience. The first event will be in January. Happy Thanksgiving, Aaron Lekomsky.
Great. Thank you, Dr. K, and thank you, Aaron, for that report. Do we have a report from ABC 25?
We do. Gina submitted a report stating our grant review board meeting is the same day as the board meeting tonight. So here's her update below. Apologies for not being present, but our team is in calibration and scoring meeting for the 61 amazing grants that have been submitted to the teachers, by teachers and staff. We are working hard to finalize all of our decisions as soon as possible and make announcements very soon. January 19th, I repeat, January 19th, they have an anti-bullying campaign. Bullying affected far too many students, and changing that starts with a community-wide commitment. That is why the ABC 25 Foundation is excited to announce that we have partnered with Box Out Bullying. The campaign draws inspiration from Box Out Bullying's dynamic, research-based approach, live theater, interactive content, and age-appropriate messaging for students. Join us in equipping students with important tools and insight to empower them to be stand-up citizens and key players in ending bullying. This event will be free to everybody, but members of the ABC 25 Foundation will get first dibs at signing up. Keep your eyes peeled for more information. So once again, that's January 19th. Please save the date for March 15th for our largest fundraiser of the year, ABC 25 for Education at Topgolf from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And if you are a Topgolf fan, this is actually cheaper than the normal price, and it's a fundraiser, so I'm hoping that we will continue to promote this. That's March 15th. Thank you, and I look forward to sharing exciting news about our grant funding decisions soon. Best, Gina.
Thank you, Dr. K, and thank you, Gina. We'll move on to ATA and welcome Allison Berg to the microphone. It's good to see you.
Just knock it right over. Hi, everybody. Good evening. This has been a pretty exciting board meeting tonight. Actually, it's been my favorite one so far. So much fun. I feel like I have to go rogue for a second. Allison Buck, the coach of the Windsor team, was a Windsor student while I was a teacher at Windsor School. I may or may not have had her older brother as a student in my class, and 3 out of the 4, almost the whole golf team, are Windsor students. So I could not be more proud of Windsor School. I'd like to say it has something to do with their 4th grade teacher, but I can't golf at all. So I can't take any credit for it, but a little moment of pride for Windsor School, like kind of fun to see the coach and the kids, all former Windsor students. So pretty awesome. Okay, good evening. I have lots of thank yous to start with tonight. First, happy Veterans Day. A huge thank you to all who serve and who have served, and thank you for protecting our country each and every day. No one's here anymore, but thank you, thank you. I would also like to wish all of our board members a happy Board Appreciation Day. The taffy apples are from us. You're welcome. Enjoy them. You're welcome. You're welcome. The ATA is so appreciative to work with this board. We appreciate your willingness to collaborate and work together with us to help make District 25 the great place it is for both teachers and students. So thank you. All right, so one more. Thank you for allowing me to share some awesome things going on around the district. I have like 50 slides, but I'm gonna be fast. I talk quickly. It's a late night already, so I'm gonna go quick. First of all of Mary State hosted its 3rd annual multicultural night, which I think we already hit upon, but the 3rd grade concert on Thursday, November 6th. It was an incredible evening where students and families came together to share and celebrate cultures from around the world through music, activities, games, and crafts. Countries represented include Austria, Venezuela, Germany, Japan, Lithuania, Italy, Puerto Rico, India, Poland, and the Philippines. More than 200 people attended, and the event's success was made possible through the collaboration of staff, families, and community members. Olive is so grateful to the families who dedicated their time and creativity to make this annual tradition such a meaningful celebration of community community and pride, which is awesome. Fourth graders at Windsor School sang today. They did an awesome job performing at Windsor's annual Veterans Day breakfast. This is a lovely tradition at Windsor School where our family veterans are treated to a breakfast, a concert, and a parade in their honor. The kindergartners at Ivy made guitars about themselves to celebrate their differences, and there's a couple of them. I actually need to email that teacher to get a template because that's really fun. Second graders at Windsor celebrated the 50th day of school with having a 50s day. This is probably my favorite one. Right there. And there are their teachers as well, dressed, ready to go. The kindergartners at Windsor School had fun learning their sight words in the pumpkin patch. They also practiced measuring the height of pumpkins during math, and they practiced singing 5 Little Pumpkins sitting on a gate during purposeful play time. And there are friends with their pumpkins. Students at Windsor have just finished enjoying their new tumbling obstacle course that will be coming around to all the elementary schools this year. They really enjoyed it. Along with it, they enjoyed using the new equipment that was brought for the tumbling unit. Students also worked on throwing and catching in October, and there they are throwing and catching. The ML teams at South Middle School and Windsor worked together to bring 47 students to tour Harper College. The students love learning about Harper's programs, their financial scholarship opportunities, and met actual students. The bilingual advisory team at Harper led an activity that helped students see how Harper can help them achieve their goals. Finally, Harper provided a lunch from Subway that was devoured at the end of the tour. The tour bridges the gap for our students who often don't see college as an option for them. We heard many students say, I am coming here after high school. Special thanks to Shab and Laura Camastro, Dr. K, Mrs. Anastasio, and Mr. Prorock for their support. And here are some pictures from their time at Harper. A very cool opportunity for our students. I love that they're sitting in like that big lecture room. Such little bodies in college seats. A few more. Okay, moving on. A special shout out to Sean Marusik from South Middle School, who was recently awarded the Illinois Science Teachers Association Award in Excellence. Congratulations to her, and how lucky are we to have her as both a colleague and a teacher in District 25. That's a picture of her, and there she is with her award. Miss Pinsky's 5th grade class at Windsor has been working on their latest HMH module and reading to their kindergarten buddies. There's a few pictures from that. Sewing Club, led by Miss Angeles, also at Windsor, is up and running and working on several fun projects, and there are children working on their projects. Westgate, one of the letters this week at Westgate was J in the HMH program. Miss Walsh broke out her old classic Jack in the Box, and her kindergartners were captivated. It's a picture of them working on that. Westgate celebrated Veterans Day with a video of veterans related to their staff, and the 3rd grade created a display of veterans related to Westgate 3rd grader families, and that's a picture of their Veterans Day sign. Some LMC highlights from Olive Mary Stitt and Westgate, the breakout boxes, 2nd graders. Weather reports, I always love these. If you've never seen one live, they're super fun to watch. 5th grade and kindergarten buddy classes, Chatterbox book talks, an author visit. Moving on, with the help of and guidance of Kara and Sandy from Food Service, 4 early childhood classrooms grew and harvested 2 types of lettuce and basil with the Fork Farm Initiative. The children started by planting seeds and watering them. Once they sprouted, the children put stoppers into the hydroponic garden and transferred the plants. As the vegetables grew, the children checked the water level, added water as needed, while the teachers checked and maintained the pH and nutrient level. It was so fun to watch the vegetables grow and smell the basil. And when it was time to harvest the vegetables, it was so fun to see how big the vegetables had grown and how long their roots were. The children had then the opportunity to take some vegetables home to taste them with their families. So here's a picture of our early childhood friends growing their gardens. I like the let us at home picture. Hold on. There they are, all eating their lettuce at home. Love it. Very fun experience for them. Ivy had a Veterans Day performance this morning, and there was also a short ceremony for the veterans before that, and there's a couple of pictures of their ceremony. Dryden had their annual Veterans Day breakfast and assembly today. Students and staff invited veterans that they would like to honor for a special breakfast, followed by an all-school assembly. Student members of the Veterans Day Club prepare for and help plan this assembly. Poems and special messages of gratitude, patriotic song medleys were shared by all students as a special way to honor the veterans in attendance, and veterans then visit classrooms to speak about their time serving in the military, and it's a special day for them as well. And there's a picture from Dryden. I'm almost done, I promise. The Thomas Middle School Wind Ensemble performed an outstanding concert this past weekend at the Buffalo Grove High School Band Festival. Oh, I'm wearing the shirt today. Our Thomas students received a clinic by the respected band clinician, Randy Sundell, and had the chance to play with other student musicians from London and Cooper Middle Schools, as well as high school students from Buffalo Grove. We are so proud of our students and the musicians, so there's a picture of them. Cool opportunity, and I think that's it. As you can see, our teachers and students have been very busy, and happy Thanksgiving, and I look forward to sharing more next month. Thank you, thank you. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, Allison. We appreciate all the updates. All right. Our next agenda item is the consent agenda. This is an action item. Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. President,
Yes, Kevin.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve those items on the consent agenda as follows. A, personnel report. B, invoices. C, regular and closed session meeting minutes of October 21st, 2025.
Thank you, Kevin. A second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Anisha. Lana, could you please call the vote?
Michael,
Yes.
Buchberger,
Yes.
Cerniglia,
Yes.
Neerman,
Yes.
Tranter,
Yes.
Jogi,
Yes.
Scapalato.
Yes. Thank you, Lana. The motion carries 7-0, which now brings us to the student learning section of the agenda. Tonight we have an information item on the assessment and the assessment report and the Illinois school report card. So welcome our Department of Student Learning and yep, Amanda and Becky, welcome. Thank you for being here tonight. And when you're ready.
All right, so tonight we'll be reviewing some important updates to the assessments that our district uses. We're going to then review District 25's performance on last spring's Illinois Science Assessment, or ISA, the Illinois Assessment of Readiness, or the IAR, and the NWEA MAP assessment. Along with sharing assessment data, we will also be highlighting specific actions that the district's departments are taking to support student growth and achievement this year. Afterwards, Dr. K will share an update about our school's report card. And now I'll turn the presentation over to our assessment coordinator, Amanda Chernick.
Good evening, everybody. So to begin, if you wouldn't mind advancing. Next slide. Here we go. So to begin, I'd like to start by sharing some important updates to our assessments. First, the Illinois State Board of Education recently revised proficiency benchmarks for the ISA and IAR, which impacted spring 2025 performance. These updates were made because prior performance levels did not align with national standards, other state assessments, or post-secondary success data. In addition, many of the grade level math and ELA benchmarks were the toughest in the nation, so students achieving well in their classes were still not labeled as proficient. And the science proficiency benchmark was set too low, which resulted in some students being labeled as proficient even when they had not fully mastered the material. ISBE's updated proficiency benchmarks now align with the College Board Advanced Placement and National Assessment of Educational Progress standards. This has raised math and ELA proficiency rates and lowered science proficiency rates, making comparisons to prior years invalid. So we will not be looking at cohort performance over time like we typically do. This year's benchmarks will be our new baseline. So even with this shift, the tests
learning standards, and student growth calculations have not changed. Performance levels are now consistent across all Illinois mandated assessments, including the IAR, the ISA, and ACT, using the same number of levels and descriptors for easier interpretation. We appreciate that the board has been investing their time to learn more about these important updates during the last few weeks. We also have an update about the NWEA MAP assessment starting this fall. MAP revised their national norms, which they do every few years. In many cases, depending on the grade and subject, the same RIT score may now correspond to a higher percentile rank. So for example, a 5th grade student with a 220 RIT score is now at the 80th percentile in contrast to the 76th percentile last fall. And on a related note, when creating our assessment calendar, we are intentional about the number and timing of assessments to ensure they provide useful information to limit overburdening students and staff. So during this presentation, I will be referencing District 25's program review process. While the board has seen this framework before, we wanted to share it again because the process lays out a predictable structure for teams to follow, allowing for adjustments as needed. It also means that our department is continually reviewing progress and adjusting support and instruction to meet the needs of students. While this slide provides a high-level overview of our program review process, more information about the specific work different committees are undertaking this year is shared in some of the other slides. So if we look at the visual, the program review process really starts with the research phase year located at the top right portion of the graphic, in which the curriculum is evaluated to determine if it meets the high-quality instructional material standards. The process then moves to the develop phase, which lasts for 2 years, and follows a plan for implementation of high-quality instructional materials and professional learning, whether through new curriculum adoption or improving instruction using existing materials. Next, the implement phase, which also lasts for 2 years, supports teachers in using high-quality instructional materials effectively with consistent instructional practices developed through high-quality professional learning. Finally, the refine phase year closes out the process, which ensures sustained improvement through regular reflection and adjustments. The cycle then begins again. Now let's review the results for the ISA, an assessment administered to all 5th and 8th graders in the state. The dark green and light green sections on the bar graph together represent our students' proficiency of 73% in science compared to the state's 43%, which places District 25 at the 96th percentile compared to other elementary and unit districts. Elementary science is in the research phase of the program review, in which DSL will analyze standards, student data, and professional learning practices before the steering committee begins its work in the 2026-2027 school year. This slide shows proficiency levels in science by District 25 schools. The middle school science committee is in the develop phase of program review, in which teachers are refining current instructional practices, reviewing data, and engaging in standards-aligned professional learning. District-wide instructional coaches are also engaging in coaching cycles focused on science. We now see that District 25 students continue to outperform District 214 Sender districts in meeting the science proficiency benchmark. Moving on to the math portion of the IAR assessment administered to all 3rd through 8th graders in Illinois. The green portion of the graph shows the percentage of District 25 and Illinois students who met the proficiency benchmark in math on the IAR, which are 64 versus 39% respectively. District 25 students performed at the 92nd percentile compared to Illinois school districts in math. Elementary math is in the refined phase of the program review process, in which DSL reviews assessment data to determine celebrations and areas of growth. Math proficiency across the grade levels is stronger at the elementary level. The middle school math committee is in the 2nd year of the develop phase of program review, meaning that teachers are reflecting on current instructional practices, piloting new curricula, and engaging in professional learning regarding rigor and complexity aligned to grade level standards. We now see that District 25 trends above District 214 sender districts in meeting the performance levels in math. Let's shift from student achievement to student growth. Some of the following slides will be referencing ECRA's growth metrics. To review, ECRA's growth model uses individual student performance on standardized assessments taken the year prior in light of District 25 norms to create a projection of a student achievement for the upcoming year. After students take an assessment, ECRA generates a growth score for each student that aligns to how closely a student reaches that projection. Growth scores are then combined across different student groups, and that information is color-coded to help with interpretation. As for the color coding, blue means that student groups experienced higher than expected growth, green means the student group experienced expected growth, and yellow and red mean the student groups experienced lower than expected growth. As a reminder, growth is different from proficiency. It's possible for students to easily meet the proficiency benchmark but make lower than expected growth over a testing period. Conversely, some students could not meet the proficiency benchmark but demonstrate strong growth over the school year. Both are important. We want our students to be proficient, and we also want our students to grow. Also important to note, our current student growth is not impacted by Illinois' new proficiency benchmarks. So this slide is showing our math IER data by District 25 schools. We see that all District 25 schools grew as expected except Greenbrier, Olive, and Thomas, which experienced higher than expected growth. We can also locate the percentage of students in a building who met the proficiency benchmark. For instance, we can see that Patton made green expected growth in math this year, even though 82% of their students met the math benchmark. That's a huge celebration. While proficiency rates increased this year, overall growth is similar to last year. In math, all student groups grew as expected, with our ML or ELL students demonstrating a higher than expected growth and closing the achievement gap. This year, instructional coaches are providing job-embedded professional learning in math through coaching cycles, working alongside building leaders to support building needs. Moving on to the ELA portion of the IER assessment, again administered to all third through eighth graders in Illinois. Here we see that District 25 proficiency in ELA continues to outperform the state, with our district achieving 75% proficient, while the state achieved 53% proficient, placing District 25 students at the 88th percentile compared to other Illinois districts. This fall, elementary classroom teachers began implementing Into Reading, a robust and comprehensive literacy resource aligned with the science of reading and the Illinois Comprehensive Literacy Plan. A temporary implementation dip in literacy growth may occur this year as teachers adapt to the new Into Reading curriculum and develop expertise with its components and instructional structures. For grade level proficiency, all grades except third experienced ELA proficiency rates above 70%. At the middle school, the Literacy Committee is in the first year of the develop phase, where they are researching new curricula and engaging in professional learning. This professional learning will also include ML, LMC, and resource teachers, as well as advanced learning specialists and instructional coaches. District 25 continues to outperform the state and all other District 214 sender districts in ELA. In ELA growth, more than half of our schools experienced higher than expected growth this year. Our overall growth is also blue, higher than expected, while last year's growth was green, expected, which demonstrates improvement. In ELA, many student groups grew higher than expected. Students with IEPs and ML students both demonstrated higher than expected growth, suggesting effective differentiation and interventions. So let's transition from the IER to the math portion of Spring Map, the Spring Map assessment, administered to all K through 8th graders in the district. In math, all schools grew as expected, showing steady performance across the district. Overall growth is similar to last year. Also in math, all student groups met expected growth targets, which reflects equitable academic progress across the district. Math results show areas of strength and opportunity across grade levels. Middle school teachers are participating in grade level professional learning this year to incorporate application-based, complex problems to build rigor and drive student inquiry. District-wide, instructional coaches are also engaging in coaching cycles focused on math. Finally, let's review the reading portion of the spring MAP assessment administered to all K through 8th graders in the district. In reading, all schools grew as expected. Overall growth is similar to last year. Instructional coaches received tailored professional learning focused on supporting teachers via co-teaching and planning for the implementation year of Into Reading. In reading, all student groups grew as expected, indicating balanced progress district-wide. And here we see our grade level performance on the MAP reading assessment. During the upcoming January SIP Day, elementary teachers, supported by instructional coaches, will engage in professional learning and follow-up collaboration sessions using Into Reading data and curricular resources to design differentiated instruction for students. So to wrap up, District 25's overall proficiency in science, math, and ELA continues to exceed those of the state and neighboring districts. Student growth is stable or above expectations. Proficiency gaps exist between student groups. However, our ML students demonstrated higher than expected growth in math and ELA on the IAR. Students with IEPs also demonstrated higher than expected growth in ELA. So through District 25's program review process, teachers and administrators are collaborating to improve the quality of instruction and curriculum by reviewing data, exploring new resources, and engaging in professional learning, which directly aims to enhance student learning. District 25's instructional coaches are providing job-embedded professional learning and serve as resources for curriculum implementation while also serving as strategic partners with school leadership. District 25 School Improvement Days support student growth by providing targeted professional learning focused on instructional strategies, applications of curricular resources, and planning for differentiated instruction for our students. We will now turn it over to Dr. K, who will share an Illinois report card update.
Did I scare you, Lana? Yeah, that's how it felt. I will wrap up the assessment presentation by showing what the Illinois report card currently has. This was released on Halloween, and last year I showed a similar slide, but it only had the visual on the left. This year I added the snapshot on the right, so you can see the comparison from 2 years ago to last year. On this slide, all of the data is publicly currently available on the Illinois School Report Card, which allows families and community members to explore school-level data. The key indicator we focus on each year is school summative designation, which reveals or reflects multiple measures: academic growth, proficiency, climate survey data, and success indicators for student groups. This slide, if you were to take time to look through, this is the designations that schools have been given when it started in 2018 all the way through this school year. And so you can see, I think it's magnificent. We've never had any school 2018 perform below commendable. So some have gone up and down from commendable to but no school has been below commendable, which is fantastic. The next slide, I'm just showing a sample of what each school data shows. This is the schoolhouse view, or the snapshot of Ivy Hill. I showed the one on the left last year, and the new one for this year is on the right. There's a lot of data. Each color represents something different. Ivy Hill Elementary School has received an exemplary designation, the highest rating in the ability system. This means that Ivy Hill is performing in the top 10% of all elementary schools statewide with no underperforming student groups. Ivy Hill's success reflects consistent excellence in instruction, collaborative professional learning, and a strong school community focused on student growth. And again, I'm just showing this as an example. All schools have this currently available if you go and look on the Illinois report card. This is another graph that I showed last year as well. Again, the one from last year and then the current one. So if you click on the top portion of this house visual, then it reveals this next graph here. You can see Ivy Hill's overall index score remains in the top 10% in the state, reflecting strong academic performance. They show the cut score, what is the 10%. Anybody to the right of the cut score, 10%. Anybody to the left is below the 10%. I added a middle school just so you can see Thomas and South also have the same data available to them. And again, if you click on the top of the house, you can get the next level data. This is the overall index. Another benefit of the Illinois report card is you can choose which subgroups you want to look at. In this visual, I showed the multi-language learners, I showed the IEPs, and I showed male versus female. So you can see the achievement gaps and whether they're larger than the current state or smaller than the state. So you can compare over time, closing the achievement gaps, which I know Amanda also showed on one of the slides with our data. This last slide is the district equity journey continuum. It's hard to tell. I stacked them. 2 years ago was on top. This year is down below. You can see in the second chart, or in the middle, the ball moved slightly to the right, showing an increase in our district's equity continuum. And this year, what I like is you can click on the 3 categories on the left and see the data that informs this chart. So this is really high level, doesn't give you a lot of information, but as you click into it, you can see the different pieces of data that informed this ball moving to the right. So at this point, I just want to say thank you to Amanda and thank you to Becky for putting this whole presentation together. At this time, we would like to take any questions that you guys have.
Yes, thank you, all of you, for sharing that information. Board, what questions do you have for that?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I do have 2 questions, but first I did want to say thank you to Amanda, to Becky, to Dr. K. Thank you so much for taking the time, the presentation, educating us all on the state changes, on proficiency ratings, on student performances. As a district, we have so much to be thankful for and grateful for. I love the fact that District 25 continues to outperform the other D214 sender districts. My first question, and I could just be missing something visually, slides 16 and 17, when they go through the growth, the number of students listed per school is obviously not the number of students in attendance, but it states on the bottom it's students with at least 1 predictor. And I was just curious if you could explain what that means with 1 predictor.
Yeah, so ECRA, when they run their growth projections, they use 2 different statistical significance tests, and every once in a while you might get, I'm not seeing any here, but sometimes you might see an asterisk next to a growth score, and that typically means that those 2 predictors didn't line up, if that makes sense. They didn't show the same, they didn't have the same confidence.
Okay.
So that would be an example of why you might see that. But again, we're not seeing that in that particular slide.
Awesome. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And then the second question is in relation to modifying the state proficiency, which I recognize is not a board decision, it's not a decision within our district, but the new standards proficiency aims us to be more in line with national testing data, and I respect that. I recognize that our teachers and administrators are well trained in looking at student growth and watching the students and not just seeing proficiency in a MAP test or IAR. But my personal fear, and I've talked to Dr. Kay about this and Greg as well, when we raise the proficiency rate as a state, will our districts start to eliminate some of the interventions for the students? And I don't know if this is even something that you can answer, or if it's something Diane will have to see as time goes on. I know how valuable the interventions are for those students that don't necessarily qualify for an IEP or a 504, but they just need a little extra boost to bridge their gaps. And if the new proficiency rate puts them just over that cutoff, will they no longer get the services they might have received last spring? So I was just curious if we had any knowledge on that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I don't want to speak exactly for Diane, so we can certainly ask for more information on that. But what I can say is that I do know that Diane and our MTSS coordinator are tracking that information, looking for trend data. So one thing that we tend to point out a lot with assessments is looking at performance over time to see if, you know, there's an aberration that's just happening at one point in time or whether it's actually trend data. So I believe that's where the conversation resides at this point. But yeah, certainly making adjustments to ensure our students get the supports that they need are things that we're well versed in for a variety of different reasons. If nothing else, the pandemic taught us a lot about how to do that, yeah.
Let me also jump in really quick because we don't use IAR assessments for decisions about intervention anyhow. So it's more for our families. It's for, you know, we look at it a lot as a department to see, are there any holes? Is there anything that we need to look at in our scope and sequence? So rest assured, that's not impactful.
Thank you, Deb. Other questions from the board for our panel?
I had a question. Dr. Kay, you know, with the equity slide, you had explained, do you know how they evaluated the ball moving? Like, what do they mean? The learning conditions, like, is that information we submitted, or do they just, how do they come up with this continuum? Could you remind us again?
I anticipated you might ask about that, Anisha.
Oh, okay, you know me so well. I think we talked about it last time too, and you explained it well. I just need a reminder.
Sure. So in the category of elevating educators, some of the data that they are using are administration and leadership demographics. So it's not something that we can impact directly other than the demographics would be in who we're hiring. So that's a piece of the data for elevating educators. Also within that is teacher experience in educating. So how many years of teaching teachers have. So that impacts elevating educators. Another piece of data is the teacher evaluation that administrators are evaluating the staff. So those outcomes impact elevating educators. There's two more pieces of data. The teachers out in the field and student teaching. So how many student teachers you have can impact elevating educators. And educator demographics is also another category that impacts elevating educators. So again, what I like about this chart, visually this doesn't give you a whole lot, but as you click into the three categories on the left, you can see what data points are being used to impact it. What you don't see is how much can one move the ball, how much can it move the needle. You just know it impacts it somehow.
Yeah, because I know that at the state level, they're still kind of gauging how to do this better and better every year.
Yeah, and I think I want to go back to that. This house visual, this one is for South Snapshot. This gets a little more specific into each one of those colors represents One is for math, one is for ELA, one talks about chronic absenteeism. And I would say in the past, I've not paid as much attention to the chronic absenteeism, but I think that is I'm even struggling with my glasses to see the percent right now, but I think that's 20% of the snapshot. So the designation is impacted by our students' attendance. So whether it's chronically absent or just, vacation absent, all of that is impacting our summative designation data. So ELA obviously, math will, but then whether students are attending school also has an impact on our designation. And I haven't paid as much attention to that, but this year it caught, like, a little more time and attention on. And I think this week we sent home information to the middle school students who are nearing the number that would qualify them for chronically absent. So I think when we are looking at our trimesters at the middle school, every trimester near that report card time, we send out information to parents who are nearing that chronically absent number.
Yeah, and that chronic absent number is not just for our district, that's a statewide issue and continues
Correct.
to be kind of a nationwide issue, right?
Correct.
Chronic absence. Thank you. Thanks, Dr. K.
Thank you, Anisha. Any other questions? I have a couple things. First, if I could, Amanda and Becky, I wanted two celebrations. First, I want to point out to the board at their seats you have some questions and detailed responses that they provided. So first, thank you. There's quite a bit there and a lot to consider. So thank you for your time and responding to those. And then another celebration, you mentioned it, I wanted to highlight it again, is it comes from slide 22, but back last year, you noted that focus was needed to accelerate growth for our students with IEPs. And what a wonderful thing, we can draw just a direct line to slide 22 this year, where we can celebrate that growth. So, thank you for bringing it up here and highlighting it, and I think that's very much worthy of note. The question I wanted to take a try at here to see if there's board interest. So, if growth affects size, the question is, can it be compared year over year at grade level, by cohort? You talked about a response here, but maybe if you could share that here, and then we could talk about, is that something we'd be interested in? Is there anything it could reveal? Would that be okay if you talk a little bit about that question?
Yeah, it's interesting because I love ECRA platform. It has so much great information. I know that a couple of you have sat in a webinar, I think, with John Gata, and he's just very knowledgeable and so helpful. So I love their platform, but they don't have reports that look at student growth over time. So if you think about it, the growth is actually looking at growth over time, right? It's looking at performance from spring to spring. Sure. But what I like to do, because I'm also curious about that, is I like to look at all of our buildings, grade levels, subject areas, on a nice kind of neat sheet of paper so I can look for patterns easier. It's not something typically we would include in a board presentation, but if you're interested in looking at something like that, I could certainly put something together if you want to, maybe make some connections between student growth, between buildings, grade levels, et cetera.
Well, I asked the question because right, you never know. As a outside observer, outside to the work you do every day, it might be illuminate something, but it may not. And that's why I'm asking the question here. But it sounds like you just do some of that pattern, looking for patterns and things, and I can open up to my colleagues or even Dr. K if you think that's something we could provide offline. It doesn't have to be necessarily in this presentation, even just for the board to consider, is that something interesting? So I know that's really open-ended. So I'm not asking the question to create a whole another big workflow, but rather is there something from the work you do that could speak to that, and maybe there's something of interest to the board?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, thank you, everyone, and thank you, Amanda, Becky, Dr. K. Okay, the next section of the agenda is personnel and planning. We have an information item. This is the school calendar for 26-27. We're going to welcome Kendra to the board table to share with us the information about the school calendar.
Yes, hi, thank you. Very excited to be bringing a draft of the calendar to you a little bit earlier even than I did last year. So I will credit Deb Tranter for the support and nudge. She said, you can do it, you can get it there. So here we are. So I just wanted to share the calendar committee. We met a couple times with the goal of preparing a school calendar that will meet the needs of our students, our community, our staff, and our stakeholders. In addition, we work to build continuity and cohesiveness within the structure of the school calendar to capitalize on student learning. Therefore, we reflect on the school calendar from previous years, and we engage in a lot of discussions around what has worked well, what our hopes and dreams are, and things that we need to change. We have representatives at this committee from the ATA, the PTA, the board, and District 25 administrators. So thank you, Deb, again, for serving and representing the board. I'm going to highlight for you just a couple specifics of the calendar. Teachers and teaching assistants will report to work starting on Monday, August 17th, 2026 for the first Institute Day, and a second Institute Day will follow on the 18th. Wednesday is what we consider a building-based teaming day, and then students will begin on August 20th, 2026. That will be a full day of attendance for them. We value the conversations between our staff and our parents and want to ensure that the length of parent-teacher conferences provide all parents the time needed to have meaningful conversations with their child's teacher. So next year we're proposing 2 days in the fall, one to be held on October 22nd from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m., and the other one on Friday, October 23rd from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then in the spring, we're proposing parent-teacher conferences will take place by request on February 12th, 2027 from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The committee continues to support taking non-attendance days the whole week of Thanksgiving, so that is in the proposed calendar. Both our winter and spring breaks will align with District 214 to support our families who have children attending both school districts. We are proposing school improvement days to support the growth and learning of our teachers. One is a consortium school improvement day in collaboration with NSSEO and District 214. That'll be held on Monday, January 4th. We also agreed to take another SIP day on Tuesday, April 6th, where additional professional learning will be provided for our teachers. And then the final SIP day is Friday, May 28th. The last day for students we are proposing be Thursday, June 3rd, and the last day for our staff will be the following day, Teachers Records Day, on Friday, June 4th. The calendar design was a collaborative process and fulfills the requirements that the Illinois State Board of Education has instituted. So I want to again thank the calendar committee for their hard work, collaboration, and great discussions. And I'm happy to take any questions you might have about the calendar.
Thank you, Kendra. Questions from the board? And this is an information item this month with the intent that it would be action item next month, correct, Dr. K?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll have another chance if there are questions from the board. But thank you, Kendra.
You got it. Thank you.
All right, Dr. K, we are at the superintendent report section of the agenda, and so we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. One item I wanted to touch on is my excitement for the strategic plan refresh team. We have a first meeting tomorrow. The meeting consists of multiple groups coming together. We have a total of 15 students, both current and former. We have 12 staff members, both certified and non-certified. We have 15 different administrators and board representatives. And our largest group is our family. So we have 21 parents, and that doesn't include the board. So if you add the board, we have even more. So it is nice to see that we had so many parents want to be part of the refresh team. So a total of 63 people will be participating, and this will be 5 different meetings. The bookends are virtual, the 3 in the middle are face-to-face. So it's a big commitment for all that are participating, and it'll be 1 meeting a month, again, starting tomorrow virtually, and then 3 in person over the next 3 months. Hopefully then in March, we'd have this group making a recommendation about what would be the next step for the refresh team. So I'm excited to get that started. Are there any questions about the strategic plan refresh at this time?
Just one, Dr. Kate. Wondering, because there are multiple members of the board on the refresh team, do we need to consider this open session?
We don't. What will happen is we'll separate you guys into small groups virtually and when we're in person, so that you're never a group of 3. Yeah.
Dr. K, I just want to thank you, right? This is a huge effort, and you really, the team at the district, you personally have gone above and beyond to do this huge outreach to make sure all the voices, the young voices, the parent voices are included, because that's what made our last strategic, right? We have a history of like stellar strategic plans, and so this takes a lot, and you've done a lot of legwork to make this special.
Thank you. In between these meetings, any products that we are reviewing that require additional input, we will reach out using the tool escapes me right now, Thought Exchange. We'll use Thought Exchange to get more feedback and input from community members and staff. So while we have 63 people, which is a lot, there's still a lot of other voices we're not capturing. So we will be sending out products and getting more input throughout the process as well.
And that's important for our parent community watching, and there's so much great communication going out to the community for parents to know that if they weren't able to make it, because it is a really big commitment, and so for working parents, so for any reason, if they weren't able to make it, we are still seeking their input as a board and as a district, and there will be opportunities for them to give their feedback, even if they can't be in on this particular plan. So yeah, all that thought exchange and getting the word out there that those voices are still at the table.
Good point. Thank you. I was going to talk about Harvest Fest, but all I wanted was smaller fish. That's all I wanted. But they kept catching large fish. Windsor Veterans Day, I had a chance to go there this morning, and it was phenomenal. I think Allison also talked about it. Great event. And thanks again for allowing us to do the celebrations today at the board meeting as well for the veterans, our crossing guards, our board, and the student athletes. That was great. My next topic, letter B, Freedom of Information Act report. There are 4 FOIAs that were submitted in the past month, and all responses were provided following the required timeline. Next, letter C, School Board Member Day resolution. I did this last year as well, so I wanted to bring it back this year, knowing that we have returning board members, but also 2 new ones. Before we read the resolution, I'd like to take just a moment to express our appreciation for the incredible leadership and dedication of our current Board of Education. Serving on a school board member is one of the most selfless forms of public service. It requires vision, courage, and unwavering commitment to doing what's best for children and our community. Our board members volunteer countless hours to ensure that every decision made in District 25 reflects our shared vision, together today to transform tomorrow. Your work is often behind the scenes, but its impact is seen every day in our classrooms, in our schools, and in the lives of students. We are truly fortunate to have a board that leads with integrity, thoughtfulness, and heart. It is my pleasure tonight to formally recognize and celebrate your service with the school board members' resolution honoring, which is happening on November 15th as School Board Members' Day in Arlington Heights School District 25. Can I get a head nod on whether you want me to read the resolution or just identify it by title? You see it, you read it. Thumbs up, in agreement, solid. It is an action item, so I will need, or Greg will need, a motion.
Can we have a motion, please?
Mr. President.
Yes, Kevin.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the resolution recognizing Illinois School Board Member Day, November 15th, 2025.
Thank you, Kevin. A second, please.
I humbly second.
Thank you, Anisha. Lana, if you could please call the vote.
Buchberger,
Yes, thank you.
Cerniglia,
Absolutely.
Neerman,
I was worried.
Tranter,
Yes.
Jogi,
Thank you, yes.
Scapalato,
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Thank you, Lana, and the motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Dr. K.
Letter D, IASB resolutions. This is also an action item.
Thank you, Dr. K. Can we have a motion, please?
Mr. President.
Yes, Kevin.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve that Dr. Anisha Jogi be appointed the 2025 IASB delegate to the 2025 IASB Delegate Assembly on behalf of Arlington Heights School District 25, and be granted the authority to vote on the IASB resolutions and the IASB constitutional amendment at the 2025 Delegate Assembly solely in accordance with the consensus of the Arlington Heights School District 25 School Board on November 11th, 2025.
Thank you, Kevin. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Liz. Well, I think we're doing the discussion first. Is that right? Okay. So, Dr. K, Dr. Jogi?
Do you want to jump in?
You jump in. You
Okay.
crush this one.
Okay. I want to thank the board for your timely input on the day before our friend Brian Cerniglia's birthday, for getting all those votes in for us and all your opinions and about the resolutions that have been put forth. And I want to thank, going on a more serious note, I want to thank the IASB Resolution Committee under the leadership of Tracy Sayre, who I've gotten to know pretty well because I hung out with her and went to sessions with her at COSBA. I spent a lot of time with her in DC. She's a really strong leader, and so truly a big thanks to Tracy for all the work and the whole committee that does this work. And I've been thinking a lot about the resolutions because ISB, right, it's a really important organization because I can personally say that, as we come in as new board members, we need organizations like ISB. I know that your two new board members have spoken about how much you've learned. I know when I go back, nearly 10 years now, I came in not knowing anything about school boards, and nobody I knew had ever been a school board member, right? And so I learned so much from IASB, and I lent on them a lot. So I say this with my comments coming forward, I say this with just the importance I place in IASB. So with high performance and effective governance in mind, all of you kind of filled out these sheets, and you'll see that, thank you, Lana, for printing them out. I edited 2 of my votes because I've been giving it a lot of thought as to some of the things that have been proposed. I've been going back and forth, and with the lens of high performance and effective governance in mind, I've been reflecting on the article regarding elections, which is section 1, nominations, which on our sheet at your table is item 3. And after much consideration, I would like to make a case for voting no on that item. And I'm going to explain why, and I'm happy to do that on the Delegate Assembly floor as well. So specifically, I recommend encouraging the Resolutions Committee to strengthen transparency by not only notifying the distributing and letting the membership know the nominating committee's slate 45 days with the entire ISB membership. So what the resolution states is that the nominating committee, they'll talk about what the slate they picked, and they'll let the whole membership know, and then let the delegates know as well.
But I also encourage them to share the information of any additional candidates who went through the official process and proper channels to express their interest in serving in an officer role. Since all the candidates who want to serve in that capacity as president or vice president of IASB, they have to complete, as this board well knows, has to complete extensive application paperwork by August 1st with support from their local school boards, which you voted on when I shared an interest, sharing this information. So it's important that not only do they share the slate information of who the nominating committee is slating, but also share who are the additional officers, just for transparency reasons, so that information is also shared, because this would enhance governance by enabling members to be informed about all individuals who stepped forward, not only those selected by the slate. There's a lot of research, and I talk about this with effective governance. You know, I'm not going to be a school board member forever, so I may not get the opportunity to put my hat in the ring again for this position, but for future school board members who are interested, I really think this process needs to be further made transparent. So I'd appreciate hearing your thoughts, and I'll take your questions, because I know not everybody sits around thinking about ISB and governance, but it is something that I've spent a lot of time researching, studying, doing the paperwork on it. So I've thought about it for a long time. So and I also want to be sure that my colleagues, like always, are being candid with me. And so if I'm sitting in a blind spot, I'd like you to kind of be like, hey, no, Anisha, this is not making sense. So I'm happy to answer your questions and hear your thoughts. And if you agree with this reasoning, please indicate, you know, we'll make that change, and you'd indicate no on your form so I can tally the collective will of our board, because I take that responsibility seriously, that when I do go to delegate assembly, I am going to be sharing what our collective will of the board is, and not like my personal will, right? So I'll open it up to questions and thought, because I know I have to clarify a little bit more what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Mr. President, and Anisha, for bringing this up. I have two points. First, a clarification and then a question. So just to clarify, if the changes you're proposing were to happen, we would receive a slate, and then also say another column of these are other candidates who are interested, vetted, went through the extensive process, who we just didn't choose for whatever reason. It could be, you know, years served, or we don't know why. But it's really to give us full view of all of the choices. Okay, so that's what that would look like. Did you?
And I'll just speak a little bit to that. Yeah, and it could be, there's ways to do it, right? And when you research like associations, because sometimes these nominations happen by seniority versus merit. And it's like, so sometimes it happens, it's like you're kind of in line, and how many years do you serve? Now, when school board members, you know, some may take or believe that term limits are good for school board leadership, right? So not every school board member may serve for 20 years and wait in line to get to the top, right? But I do think it's important, because we have a very engaged Illinois constituency, that it's important to have diverse perspectives on that table. So yes, so vetted folks, and maybe it could be a process where we have to be creative about this in accordance with what does effective governance look like. So it could look like having permission to be like, hey, person X, you went through the process, you were vetted by us, you are a credible candidate. Would you like to be listed as the other candidates? Because some people may not want to be listed, to be like, hey, you know, I didn't get picked, I don't want to be on that list. But with permission, if somebody wants to be on that list, then I think that the membership should know who are these other people. Because I'll tell you, a couple of years ago, from the floor, there was a delegate who ran, but it's hard because nobody knows about that delegate. And right there and then, nobody can research this delegate, and the delegate is going by the will of the board, so there's no time to research that person or make an opinion on your own.
Now my question. So thank you for explaining all that, and I definitely see your point, and I agree. I think that there is there's worth in exposure and the opportunity to do research on all interested candidates. So my question then is, hypothetically, if we decide as a board, we're going to say no on this one, I haven't been at the delegate assembly before, will you have an opportunity to explain your reasoning so that the group hears what you have to say, or is it just kind of our vote goes into the void?
Yeah, that's a good question, Liz. So I've served on the delegate assembly many years now, and there is an opportunity for members to kind of speak individually and on behalf of their boards as well. And I think this point, I am willing to speak up about it, because I do think, I don't know, with my belief in, for us, hey, if we have a thought, I think we do that really well in our district, that if we have a thought, it's important to bring it up. It's not, you can't just sit on a thought and be resentful or talk to others about it. I think it's important to, this is a democracy, it's important to speak up about it. So I am willing, just like I shared with you, just those similar words I would share with, at the delegate assembly floor.
Brian, did you have?
Yeah, so
thoughts?
procedural question, so to speak, right? Because essentially, we're voting whether or not we agree with the changes in red, okay? So the changes in red on the nomination portion don't say anything about what you're talking about. So I feel like, and I'm just kind of spitballing here, but like while we may or may not agree with what you're proposing, I don't see that voting no for these changes really achieves what you're looking at. Because those changes are just whether or not we want to strike the red line that says each with prior written consent of the nominee, strike that, and add provided the, you know what I mean? Like these red line changes are essentially what we're voting for. Those changes have nothing to do with the concept that you're advocating for. So my question would be, is this the right place and way to advocate for what you're talking about, or is that's somewhere else, some other time, you know?
Yeah, yeah. That's a really good point, Brian, and that's good. I'm glad you brought that up, and that's why I brought it up to you guys. So if somebody could second that, is that what we're voting on, is the red? Because the Constitution, as I understand it, has not been looked at for many, many years. So are we looking at the whole section, or are we just looking at the red? So could somebody remind me?
I had the same thought that Brian did. So just setting aside for a second, because I would love to speak to the concerns you're bringing up. But I think as a matter of process and the vote that we are going to forward to the delegate assembly, I think we're just voting on the red line changes. So assuming for a second, for the sake of conversation, that that's the case, you know, we are, when we vote on this action item, we're going to authorize Anisha to speak to our consensus. And thank you, Liz, for asking the question. I was wondering the same about would you have a chance to speak? One path could be, it could be we vote yes because we agree with the red line changes, but we also have a comment to follow our vote. That's one path. The other thing that occurred to me, and there might not be an answer for this, Anisha, because this vote doesn't get after what you're talking about. Could we next year come up with our own resolution? I know that resolutions are different than constitutional changes, but I'm just kind of looking past that and saying, could we submit it to the resolutions committee next year, and that we have a year to write it up, or whatever, however many months? Those are almost two different things, and the second one might not even have an answer tonight.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think it is, it's interesting. I don't even know, like, so Brian, I appreciate that, and Greg, and I don't even know if a resolution would address that, because I just think it's interesting.
We could ask for forgiveness. We could submit it and go, well, we didn't know.
we can look into it.
Here's our idea.
I think,
So maybe but maybe for tonight, the shorter question, the shorter answer or path is, you know, what's the will of the board, both on the red line changes and, I don't know how to say it, but empowering you, Anisha, to share those thoughts that you're sharing with us.
Yeah.
What are
And we
thoughts
know
around-
for a fact that it's the red line changes, correct, guys?
And-
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so then yes, then other than kind of speaking up, the no vote wouldn't do anything, but yeah, so stalemate here.
Well, no. Well, would you be able to and open to still offering the feedback on this section of the Constitution, the nomination sections, even if our consensus is a yes to the red line changes?
Yeah.
Would you be
If-
open
if
to
that-
that?
If,
Or could
if
you?
I'm empowered to do that by the board, if that's the collective will of the board, because I do want to represent our collective voice, and that is important to me, yes, I would.
And procedurally, you would have the opportunity.
Yeah, because what happens is that before the votes get taken place, there's a mic and we're each given time. So I've never spoken up, and I've always thought the folks who went up are brave to do so. And I am willing to speak up because I do think that there is a need for fresh perspectives. And I'm not talking about myself here. This is not about me because I will not possibly have an opportunity to do this again. I'm talking about opening the door to other fresh perspectives, to just strengthen the association, to bring different voices in.
So to that end, is there clarification that members would like to ask right now of Anisha? And what's kind of the thought around that?
Mr. President, sorry.
Please.
I just wanted to emphasize that I do think that we're just voting on the red line, but what you're talking about is adding another correction to this, like adding even more, and that idea just should be expressed, I think, and contributed to the conversation. So thank you, Anisha, for representing.
Okay.
Mr. President, what
Yes.
I'm wondering, Anisha, is I'm looking at the proposed change. It says, provided the nomination is consistent with any Illinois Association of School Board of Directors governance policies, would what you're suggesting, would that fall under a governance policy? Or, because reading this,
And you're on
I mean,
page
it's,
Liz?
I'm looking
Sorry,
at this
sorry,
the
you're-
same, I'm looking at it under nominations. What I'm wondering is where, I guess maybe if you say something, then we may find out where this change would actually come in. If it would be a policy, if it would be,
Yeah, no, I do think, yeah, because, and I'm just going to read it out to you because I'm thinking out loud with you folks, because I trust your judgment, is, what's in the red line, like Brian shared with us appropriately, is, right? So before the red line, it says, any change in nominees shall be distributed to all active members immediately. Additional nominations, and then they scratch out each with prior written consent of the nominee, may be made from the floor of the delegate assembly, provided the nomination is consistent with any Illinois Association of School Board of Directors governance policies. So I guess to this, I'm saying, to the red line suggested, I'm saying that's not sufficient. What I'm saying it should read, may be made from the floor of the delegate assembly, provided the nomination is consistent with any Illinois Association of School Board, and before that line, and it's not in the red line, should be publicized 45 days before, just like the slate is being publicized. So, yeah, I guess it wouldn't be, but I guess we couldn't vote no, so I'm saying exactly what you guys are saying, but to speak up at the delegate assembly. No, I was
that
trying to
answer your
see if there's a
question, Liz?
loophole here.
Mr. President?
Kevin, you want to jump in?
Well, Anisha, I think if if I heard you correctly, you just said that we couldn't vote no, and I don't think that's the case. I think we still could vote no if we disagreed, but my understanding is the only real change about this is changing the floor nomination process. And that's not what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
You're talking about giving the opportunity for all
Yeah.
candidates to be seen and heard before the conference takes
determined.
place.
Correct.
Which
Or
I think makes
along with that
sense,
announcement.
and I think you make an excellent argument. But I feel like it's an argument about a related but separate topic.
Yeah.
But I wholeheartedly support your right to advocate for it, both on behalf of all members of the Illinois Association of School Boards, but also on behalf of the board here if my colleagues agree.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know where to go with that, but yeah, I'm happy to put a statement together. And so because this is our last board meeting before I go there, the statement would read very similar to what I have, so that I'm not saying anything that you haven't heard.
So consensus isn't a vote, to be clear, but I feel like we have heard from a majority of members that they're in support of you.
100%.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I don't, I think we're good, and we're gonna vote on the motion.
Are you, just a clarifying
Yeah,
question,
please.
are you still inclined to speak at this?
Yes,
So I guess, just my 2 cents.
yeah,
Given what I think the realization we just came to is that this is just a procedural parliamentary change, and they're striking the fact that written consent needs to be given, because provided it follows and is consistent, right? They're just making that little parliamentary change if you read the next paragraph describing this, right? So given that, I guess I would almost be of the opinion that an inquiry or an email or something between now and this assembly asking for
Yeah.
information about the actual procedure, be it a policy or whatever, like where does that reside?
yeah,
Right, you guys send, once the slate is determined, that gets communicated,
right,
where is that? Because if we all agree that we're voting on the red line changes, I still don't even think the delegate assembly is the right place to send you forth with that question. It just doesn't align,
yeah,
right? So I think an email or some other fact-finding mission
yeah,
to find out where that process or where that policy resides of how that information is flown is
yeah.
disseminated, right? Because
Yeah.
it's not here,
Might
none
not
of
be
that
here.
is here.
No, I agree with you. So how does this sound? What I'll do is I will reach out to the president of ISB and to Kimberly Small, the executive director, and find out, hey, this is I'd relay the conversation we had, and that we feel it's important to make sure that there's kind of transparency, to continue to open up the transparency, because I'll give you some background to Brian's point, because there was processes, like for instance, there was an application process. However, nobody ever knew about this application process. I happened to just find it, and so I had emailed the executive director to say, hey, there's this application process, and the channels that I went through before was kind of this fact-finding, like we should let the whole membership know about this application. So then just last year or 2 years ago, they started sending an email to everybody, so now everybody knows that they can apply for this role. So I'm just saying, open it up, just be transparent about it, because it benefits the students of Illinois when there's fresh leadership. So yes, why don't I do that, Brian? I will ask the right questions to the right people, and then say, hey, we're thinking of me speaking. Is that a right avenue, or is it better that I'm sending you an email, or where can we make this suggestion? What's the appropriate channels? So I'll do that. Thanks.
And I'd like to put out there that there might be more than one answer to that. It could be yes to this and another way.
Yeah.
Because that's a large platform.
Yeah.
And it might raise awareness in a way that sending the email may not.
Yeah, and sometimes, like, I know when I was a board member for many years, when these came,
I'd always just go by what is ISB saying, and okay, I'm just going to adopt, because I really didn't understand. But now that we're living it and breathing it, now that I've spent 10 years kind of participating very actively in ISB, I see that it takes all of us to kind of bring things up. There was another one that I was thinking of, but again, it's not in the red line, so it's not going to make a difference for our platform, is the item 7 on our rubric. And item 7 before the red line talks about the members of the governing, so it's on page 8. Before the red line, it says, the members of the governing committee or governing board of a division may set a limit on the number of terms a director or officer can serve. So that's the area that I think is really important for them to evaluate and really rethink, because I would be, if it was in red, I would be suggesting a no vote to promote stronger engagement and also recommend establishing term limits, particularly in divisions such as North Cook, where there is significant interest from many qualified members to take on leadership roles. So otherwise, members on North Cook have been known to serve as officers for several years, up to 10 years, which can limit broader participation and engagement. So as we've modeled here on our District 25 board, fresh perspectives and officer leadership is healthy for effective governance. You know, I've seen that in my own spot. You know, I served as board president for 2 years, and when I knew there was interest for other strong candidates to serve as president, I've just learned so much from Greg taking over and then watching Greg in this perspective, right, in leading. So I think passing on the baton is really important for sustainable leadership and fresh perspective. So I'd like to think I'm not just talking, but that we're walking the talk here for effective governance. So, but it's not in red, so we can't do anything about it. Yeah, so I'll do some fact finding, and I'll kind of prepare a statement like this and be ready to share it if it is an appropriate platform.
Okay, thank you, Anisha.
So as it stands, it looks like we will say yes to all of these across the board, and that's how I'll vote on the day of.
Okay. And to button it up, since we're talking about, I know I would appreciate knowing, I know we can submit resolutions.
Yeah.
But maybe no one's ever asked. We would like to see change in this portion of the Constitution. How do we affect that?
Yeah, and I'd add it, you know, we do the things as a team on this board, and so sometimes more voices are better than one. So if, you know, I am seeing kind of great perspectives from this board, so I empower you to kind of, for us to work together to make these changes for kind of the future of the association. Thank you.
Thank you, Anisha. Unless there's other comments or questions, I don't see any, so we're going to take it to a vote. Lana, when you're ready.
Brian stepped out. Liz Neerman.
Yes.
Tranter.
Yes.
Jogi.
Yes.
Scapalato.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Buchberger.
Yes.
Thank you, Lana. The motion carries 6-0. And Dr. K?
The next one I have is letter E, first reading of policy 2:260. It's just an information item like we do with other policies. This one just happens to have a duplicate legal reference that we've already approved. So in order to take that out, we need to bring it back we could actually vote on it, but I'm just going to follow our same process, come back first reading, and then we'll vote on it during the second reading. So there actually is 0 changes other than we're removing a duplicate legal reference. Otherwise, everything else is the exact same. Good?
Mr. President? Dr. K, just for clarification, is that the item that's in red and struck
Correct.
through on page 5?
Correct.
Okay, that's just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Yes. So the assumption is I would bring it back, and we can vote on it next time. Good. And then last one, Liz had brought up that this evening we will be taking an action item. This is this one, approving the resolution for the NSSEO Articles of Agreement. So it is an action item, so
Yes, thank you, Dr. K. Motion, please.
Mr. President,
Yes, Kevin.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the resolution ratifying proposed amendments to the NSSEO Articles of Agreements for legal entity.
Thank you, Kevin. A second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Anisha. All right, Dr. K, Liz?
Yeah, I'll just start with, we've brought the articles that have been updated to this board for review a couple times. I think the NSSEO strategic plan identifies this as one of the first major changes, which is to update the articles which haven't been updated in a while, and then introduce a new, in addition to the governing board, an operating board. So it would require all the member district superintendents to participate in a monthly meeting similar to the governing board meeting. And I think the challenges that had been talked about getting to this point were how much ownership and control was the governing board going to relinquish to the operating board. So I think it took time, but I think the process was valuable to make sure that the governing board still has a majority, if not all, of the power. But the operating board, the member district superintendents and the assistant superintendents for student services and the CSBOs have regular meetings, and I would say the one with the superintendents may not have met as regularly. I think the CSBO group did regularly meet. I feel like the group that Diane was part of would regularly meet. So this ensures that the board member districts, now the superintendents, are also participating. So we've had 2 meetings where they are open meetings, and we have governing board members attending, and they've been really helpful. We also meet at one of the buildings. This last one was at Timber Ridge, and then we take a tour afterwards. Those are significant to be in the space where we're seeing our kids learning. So I'm excited about these articles of agreement that they've been updated. I'm excited about the additional opportunities for us to engage with NSSEO and the member districts. I think it's only helping us support NSSEO's mission to support our students. So I would recommend we do approve the updated articles, and I'm excited to work with NSSEO more.
Thank
Just
you,
smaller fish at Harvest Fest.
Liz, did you want to add anything?
Sure, I'd just like to, again, thank Dr. K for his enthusiastic participation in this process, and thank Diane Kafka for showing up at every meeting. Same, Stacy. You know, we are very fortunate in District 25 that we have a team who is already really so ingrained in this whole NSSEO process. It will only help all of the member districts together to make this decision. The only other thing I'll add is we're looking at this as kind of a working document that can be amended because things will be changing. I mean, it's actually going to be set with an expiration date of December 31st of 2027. So we're planning to already look at it again and be constantly making changes as things change for our districts and our students as well. So thank you for listening for so many months about this. I'm also excited about it.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Dr. K. Any questions for them?
I just have a comment. I wanted to thank you too for everything. You know, you gave kudos to everybody, which is, and we thank you for, because it is a different SSEO. Just like a sport, you're prepping for 2 boards. As a you know, relatively kind of new board member, you jumped right into it. So thank you.
Well said, Anisha. So Lana, when you're ready, can you please call the vote?
Neerman,
Yes.
Tranter,
Yes.
Jogi,
Yeah.
Scapalato,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Buchberger,
Yes.
Cerniglia.
Yes.
Thank you, Lana. The motion carries 7-0. And thank you, Dr. K, for all those updates and reports. We are now at the second community input section, and seeing as how we have no requests to speak, we are now then at the future agenda items. So this is where board members, you have the opportunity to bring up new topics. Is there anything we need to consider this month? All right. So seeing none, the board is returning to closed session to continue working on the same topics announced earlier. The board cannot take any action during closed session, and we will not be taking any when we return to open session after. So can I have a motion to adjourn and return to closed session, please?
Mr. President,
Yes, Kevin.
I recommend that we return to closed session to continue discussion of the aforementioned topics.
Thank you, Kevin. A second, please.
Good.
Thank you, Anisha. Lana, could you please call the vote?
Tranter,
Yes.
Jogi, Scapalato,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Buchberger,
Yes.
Cerniglia,
Yes.
Neerman.
Thank you, everyone. That was a packed meeting. Thank you, staff, for being here this late. We appreciate you. Have a good night.